The drama opens inside a boxing ring where our heroine, known as the Queen, is dominating her opponent. During the match, she calmly tells her rival to surrender because there's no way she can win. When the opponent refuses, the Queen lands a devastating punch that sends her crashing to the canvas. The girl struggles to get back on her feet. But the Queen immediately follows up with a powerful kick, finishing the fight and claiming a flawless victory. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, we meet our hero, Tian. Early in the morning, he's busy preparing breakfast for his younger siblings and getting them ready for school. We soon learn that after his father's death and his mother's abandonment, Tian became entirely responsible for raising his brother and sister on his own. The story then returns to the Queen, who remembers an argument she had with her grandfather Fang. He strongly opposes her boxing career and wants her to focus on taking over the family company instead. Refusing to give in, she boldly promises that she can continue boxing without neglecting either the company or her studies. At the same time, Tian is working as a food delivery driver at a restaurant. He's incredibly skilled at his job, always finding shortcuts and delivering every order on time. One day, he receives an urgent delivery that must arrive within a strict deadline. While rushing there, he notices an orange car rolling downhill after slipping away from its owner. He chases after it but can't stop it. Luckily, the Queen happens to be nearby. Tian desperately asks her to stop the runaway car. Without hesitation, she delivers a powerful kick that completely destroys the vehicle. Furious, the owner demands compensation and threatens to call the police. Remaining perfectly calm, the Queen simply pulls out some cash, hands it to the woman, and walks away as if nothing happened. She then visits a man who is cleaning outside his house and asks him to train her. We discover that he's an exceptionally powerful fighter, but he's too busy to accept her request. Just then, Tian arrives to deliver his food order, and the disappointed Queen quietly leaves. As Tian finishes his delivery, he receives a message informing him that he has been accepted into a university located in another city. This means he'll have to move not only himself, but also his younger siblings and start an entirely new life. Unsure of what to do, he stands in front of a fountain where he used to spend time with his late father, wondering what advice his father would have given him. Coincidentally, the Queen is standing on the opposite side of the very same fountain. She's thinking about a man named Uncle G and believes she must uncover the truth behind his mysterious death. At the same moment, both Tian and the Queen toss coins into the fountain while silently wishing for the futures they dream of. After making their wishes, they finally make up their minds and decide what they need to do next. Tian returns to his manager and explains that he's decided to move to the city where his university is located so he can balance his studies, work, and responsibility for his siblings. His manager fully supports the decision and tells Tian that he has a friend who manages a nearby KFC branch. He promises to contact him and help Tian get a job there. Soon afterward, Tian moves with his younger siblings to the new city where they rent a spacious and beautiful house. We also see an old photograph of Tian with his father, revealing that his father was once a boxer. 2 months later, the new school semester begins. Tian drops his siblings off at school and gives them countless reminders to behave well, study hard, and return home immediately after classes because he'll be busy working. After leaving them, Tian realizes he's running late for his own university. He sprints through a shortcut and manages to arrive just in time. However, the moment he enters campus, he notices something strange. Everywhere he looks, he only sees female students. Excited to finally spot what he believes is another male student, he rushes over as if he'd discovered a hidden treasure. But to his surprise, the boy turns out to be a girl named Nan. Because she's passionate about boxing, she dresses in masculine clothes and even wears a hairstyle that makes her look like a boy. Nan becomes furious after Tian mistakes her for a guy. She warns him that he'll regret embarrassing her and promises she'll never forget what happened. After introducing herself, she storms off. The scene then shifts to the university dean, where we discover the reason Tian couldn't find any male students. Every other male applicant transferred out of the university, leaving Tian as the only male student who actually enrolled. The university dean tells the principal that Tian must remain enrolled no matter what happens. We then learn that this is a prestigious sports university specializing in martial arts and self-defense. Over the years, the academy has produced countless female female athletes who have won national and international championships. However, there's one major problem. They're still women, and many of them quit competing after getting married. Because of that, the dean has decided it's finally time to start training male athletes as well. Even if the journey begins with only one student, he's determined to make it work. The university soon announces a new mixed training program where male and female students will practice together. The moment the news spreads across campus, all the girls become excited and rush to meet Tian. Since they haven't had a male student at the university in years, they're eager to introduce themselves. Before they can surround him, a cute girl named Maya steps in and pushes everyone aside, hoping to keep Tian all to herself. Moments later, Nan also joins them and tells Tian that she's willing to get to know him, just like he asked earlier. The girls playfully tell him to choose one of them, but completely overwhelmed, Tian insists he isn't interested in anyone and immediately runs away, feeling as though he has accidentally wandered into a mental hospital. While escaping, he unexpectedly runs into Gia again. He's surprised to see her at the university too and wants to introduce himself properly this time. Instead, Gia walks straight past him, accidentally hitting him with her bag and leaving him with a small injury. After noticing what happened, she casually pulls out some money and offers it to him for medical treatment without even apologizing. Her attitude irritates Tian. He tells her that not everything in life can be solved with money and that something called an apology exists for a reason. Gia refuses to apologize, so Tian angrily compares her to a monster. His words strike a nerve. Furious, Gia raises her fist, ready to punch him, but Tian refuses to back down or even flinch. Seeing that he won't move, she simply turns around and walks away. As she leaves, Gia remembers the earlier incident with the runaway car. She hadn't destroyed it out of recklessness, she had done it to save a little girl who was about to be hit while crossing the street. Unfortunately, no one noticed what she had actually done. The story then shifts to a noodle restaurant owned by Sun's mother. Two local bullies arrive and begin harassing Sun. His mother quickly steps between them, calming the situation before it turns into a fight. The bullies eventually leave, but as they walk away, one of them cruelly kicks a stray dog for no reason. The moment Sun sees someone hurting an innocent animal, he completely loses control. Unable to tolerate animal abuse, he charges at the bullies and beats them up without hesitation. Back at the university, Gia continues her boxing training, but Tian's words keep echoing in her mind after he called her a monster. That painful nickname is the same one she was called as a child. Reopening old emotional wounds. Feeling deeply upset, she sits down with Nan, her only true friend, and quietly asks whether she really is a monster. Nan is surprised that Gia is so affected by something a random guy said, because that's completely unlike her. Later, Gia receives a message from one of her old classmates. The classmate addresses her using masculine pronouns, but Gia isn't surprised at all. She remembers that she didn't even realize she was a girl until she was 6 years old when her younger brother was born. The reason was simple. Her family had raised her as if she were a boy. They never allowed her to wear dresses, constantly cut her hair short, and treated her like the male heir of the family because her grandfather desperately wanted a grandson to inherit the family business. Once her younger brother was finally born, all of those expectations shifted to him, and Gia was finally allowed to live as a girl. For the very first time in her life, she wore a dress and gathered the courage to give a gift to a boy she secretly liked. Instead of accepting it, the boy mocked her in front of everyone and refused to take the gift. Since that day, Gia has struggled to find her identity, torn between being raised like a boy and never truly learning how to live like other girls. Meanwhile, Tian spends his nights studying despite being completely exhausted, trying to balance university, work, and the responsibility of raising his siblings. He can't stop thinking about his argument with Gia. At the same time, his younger brother talks in his sleep, dreaming about becoming a boxer and cheering excitedly during an imaginary match. Hearing this reminds Tian of Gia. He begins to regret calling her a monster and realizes that her eyes strangely resemble his mother's. Perhaps that's why he instinctively dislikes being around her. His thoughts drift back to the heartbreaking day his mother abandoned them. After returning home with his sick father, she could no longer endure the difficult life they were living, so she walked away and left her children behind. The story then returns to Sun, where we discover that his mother has received another letter from his school. Once again, he has failed his classes. This marks the third consecutive year. The following day, Tian meets with the university principal and requests the paperwork to transfer to another university. He believes this school is designed only for female students and isn't the right place for him, desperate to keep their only male student. The principal promises to provide Tian with anything he needs. He even takes Tian's photograph, planning to display it proudly in front of the men's restroom as a tribute to the first male student ever admitted to the university. Despite all these efforts, Tian remains unconvinced and insists on leaving, realizing persuasion won't work. The principal decides to make the process as difficult as possible. He hands Tian a transfer application and tells him it must be completed and submitted through the university's mailbox before his request can be processed. Tian feels relieved after receiving the transfer form, convinced that the process will be simple. He heads toward the university mailbox to submit it, but as soon as he arrives, 4 female students suddenly attack him. Somehow, he manages to get past them, only to find the university's strongest student, Samin, standing in his way. With a single strike, she sends him flying across the ground. Completely defeated, Tian realizes escaping this university won't be as easy as he thought. He returns to the principal and accuses him of setting up the entire challenge. The principal simply smiles and tries another approach to convince Tian to stay. He offers to reduce his tuition fees and extend his payment period so much that it would almost feel as if he were studying for free. Since Tian desperately needs the financial support, he finally agrees to remain at the university and attends his classes. His first lecture is mathematics. Unlike the female students who struggle with the subject, Tian solves every problem effortlessly and answers every question correctly. Watching from a distance, the dean is thoroughly impressed. He immediately tells the principal that the university should recruit every academically gifted male student in the city so they can study there as well. The news eventually reaches Sun's mother at her noodle restaurant. To her, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because the university isn't demanding exceptionally high school grades. She quickly encourages Sun to apply for admission. Soon afterward, the university announces that every student must join an official club. Tian desperately searches for any club that doesn't involve fighting, but quickly discovers that every activity on campus revolves around martial arts. At last, he spots what appears to be a swimming pool and happily decides to join the swimming club. His excitement disappears almost instantly when he discovers the pool is filled with fish. There isn't actually a swimming club because no one has ever signed up for one. The next day, Sun arrives at the university. Just like Tian, he's shocked to discover that the entire campus is filled with girls. At first, he becomes incredibly excited, imagining himself as the prince of the university with every girl falling in love with him. Unfortunately for him, reality is completely different. None of the girls pay him any attention because they're all busy training in their favorite sports. Meanwhile, the boxer who lost to Jia in the opening match, whose name is Jifin, signs up for the upcoming championship, hoping to earn a rematch and reclaim her pride. However, she's informed that Jia personally chooses her own opponent, leaving Jifin furious as she storms away. At the same time, Jia is taking a shower when Tian accidentally walks into the same locker room. Mistaking him for her friend, Jia casually asks him to hand her a towel. Despite the incredibly awkward situation, Tian decides to help. The moment Jia realizes the person standing there isn't her friend, she rushes out and immediately knocks Tian to the ground, convinced he's some kind of pervert. Just then, Nan walks in and completely misunderstands the situation. Exhausted by all the confusion, Tian gives up trying to explain and leaves. A few moments later, Jifin barges in, shouting that she wants to challenge Jia. Jia quickly hides so Jifin won't see her in such an embarrassing state. Nan steps forward and politely but firmly tells Jifin to leave, reminding her that Jia completely humiliated her in the boxing ring during their last match. Humiliated once again, Jifin has no choice but to leave. After Jia comes out, Sun approaches her on campus, hoping to introduce himself. Before he can even finish speaking, Gia effortlessly throws him to the ground with a simple move. Instead of being discouraged, Sun becomes even more fascinated by her, and his curiosity only grows stronger. Meanwhile, Tian is making another food delivery when he notices several older boys bullying a young child, wanting to help without starting a fight. He walks over and begins asking the bullies random questions, creating enough of a distraction for the boy to escape. Once the child gets away safely, the bullies turn all their attention toward Tian and decide to beat him instead. At that exact moment, Gia, Nan, and Maya happen to be nearby. Gia immediately wants to step in and help him, but Maya stops her, reminding her that university students are forbidden from attacking people outside campus. Hearing that, the bullies become even bolder. They knock over Tian's bicycle, sending all of his food crashing onto the ground. Nan can no longer stand by and watch. She charges straight at the bullies, with Gia and Maya following right behind her. Terrified, the bullies flee for their lives before the three girls can get their hands on them. After everything calms down, Gia suggests that Tian should join one of the university's martial arts clubs so he can learn how to defend himself. Tian gently replies that violence isn't always the answer. He explains that the only reason he enrolled in a martial arts university is because it offered him a generous scholarship that he desperately needed. He quietly gathers the food scattered across the ground, then calls each customer to apologize for the delay, explaining that another employee will deliver their meals as quickly as possible. The story then shifts to a company that develops electronics and video games. Its young owner, John, is waiting for his order. Tian personally arrives at the company to apologize because his phone died before he could contact him. To Tian's surprise, John is actually delighted. He jokes that it's the first time the restaurant has ever delivered his food late. Before their conversation can continue, Gia suddenly arrives and grabs John's ear, scolding him for teasing Tian. That's when we discover that John is actually Gia's younger brother. Tian quietly leaves and returns home feeling emotionally drained. On the way back, he remembers that his younger brother had asked him to buy his favorite food, so he purchases everything the boy wanted. Unfortunately, by the time he gets home, both of his siblings are already asleep. Meanwhile, Gia returns home feeling strangely drawn toward Tian. The unexpected attraction frustrates her because she doesn't understand why she keeps thinking about him. The following day, Gia visits the grave of Uncle G. As she stands there, she remembers the happy moments they shared when she was a child. She feels especially heartbroken because the last gift Uncle G ever gave her was later taken away by her grandfather. After Gia leaves the cemetery, Tian arrives at the very same grave. We then learn that Uncle G fought his final boxing match against Tian's father and tragically died inside the ring during the fight. Later, everyone returns to the university, where the dean angrily scolds the girls for using their martial arts skills outside campus. Refusing to let them take the blame, Tian steps forward and accepts full responsibility, explaining that they were only trying to protect him. He even asks the dean to punish him alone. However, the dean refuses because he doesn't want Tian to leave the university. Instead, he decides to punish all of them equally for breaking the rules. As Tian walks away, he's left feeling discouraged by everything that has happened. The next day, while Gia is attending class, the dean suddenly walks in and asks her to come with him because she has a boxing match. He reminds her that the university must win, even if it's only a friendly exhibition match. Gia steps into the ring and easily defeats her opponent. This time, however, she finishes the match with kindness. Instead of showing arrogance, she respectfully thanks her opponent after the fight, leaving the ring feeling proud that she handled the victory with grace. The story then shifts to another university called Zeng. Inside its martial arts club, particularly the boxing gym, we meet a young man named Lu. While he's quietly sitting alone, two arrogant students walk in and begin speaking to him in a condescending tone, asking where the coach is. Lu simply ignores them. A few moments later, the other club members return after finishing their training session, revealing that Lu himself is actually the coach. Embarrassed, the two newcomers decide to leave instead of training. Lu stops them and refuses to let them walk away so easily. He tells them that if they still insist on leaving, they'll first have to defeat him. The two challenge him together, but Lu effortlessly overwhelms them, defeating both of them without breaking a sweat. Meanwhile, Jifin is furious after learning that Jia has refused to give her the rematch she desperately wanted. Instead, Jia has randomly selected someone else as her next opponent. That unlucky person is Tian. The problem is that Tian has absolutely no idea he's been chosen. As he walks across campus, every girl he passes looks at him with sympathy and says goodbye as if he's about to die. They even advise him to surrender in the very first round to avoid getting seriously hurt. To make things even stranger, a student suddenly approaches him to take his body measurements, while Tian still has no idea what's happening. Finally, he checks the university bulletin board and is horrified to discover his name officially listed for a boxing match against Jia. Hearing students whisper that Jia will show him absolutely no mercy in the ring only makes him panic even more. Nan walks over and tells him he should feel honored to face the university's queen. She even offers to train him herself, but Tian immediately refuses and walks away. He goes searching for Jia, who is already confused by the strange feelings she's been developing toward him and doesn't know how to deal with them. When Tian finally finds her, he angrily confronts her. He's convinced that she deliberately chose him as her opponent just to humiliate him. He demands that she cancel the match. Jia refuses. Frustrated, Tian tells her that if the fight isn't cancelled, he'll simply leave the university altogether before walking away. Watching him leave, Jia feels guilty, realizing that she has only made things worse. Later, she tells Nan everything that happened. Nan suggests they visit the KFC branch where Tian works so Jia can apologize to him in person. When they arrive, however, they discover that Tian has already resigned from his job. After everything that happened, he felt too guilty about causing trouble and decided to quit. The following day, Lu and Jifin arrive at Jia's university. Their appearance immediately attracts everyone's attention, leaving the students both excited and curious. Standing in front of all the female students, Jafin publicly challenges Jia to fight her. Nan steps forward and calmly tells her that Jia didn't even come to the university today, so she can stand there waiting all day if she wants because Jia isn't coming. Jifin then asks about Tian, the person Jia chose as her opponent. Nan and Maya answer that they're currently training him and formally reject Jifin's challenge on his behalf. Meanwhile, Jia continues feeling guilty about what happened to Tian. Wanting to make up for damaging his bicycle, she decides to buy him a new one. She visits a bicycle shop and purchases the most expensive bike available. At the same time, Tian visits the principal's office once again and announces that he wants to withdraw from the university. The principal desperately tries to change his mind. When he realizes that the upcoming boxing match is the real reason Tian wants to leave, he even jokingly suggests letting Tian wear a mask during the fight so no one will recognize him. Realizing there's no point arguing any further, Tian simply tells the principal he'll think about it before making a final decision. Back at the fighting arena, Nan asks everyone to leave because no official matches will be held that day. Just then, Lu challenges Nan to a fight. Nan immediately accepts. Female students from the university gather around to act as referees. And we learn that there are virtually no restrictions inside the arena. Competitors are free to use any martial art or fighting style they know. The match begins. Nan proves to be incredibly strong, but Lu is every bit as powerful. At one point, he has the perfect opportunity to land a devastating punch on her face, but he chooses to hold back out of respect. Even so, he doesn't hold back when it comes to winning. Using his superior skill, Lu eventually defeats Nan. Watching the fight, Sun becomes incredibly excited by the level of martial arts on display. He immediately runs to the principal and asks about the tournament held at the university. The principal explains that it's a famous competition where newly admitted students are given the opportunity to compete in front of huge audiences. The matches receive massive media coverage, with television crews and reporters treating the event almost like the Olympic Games. Every year, it becomes the biggest topic of conversation throughout the city. Hearing that only makes Sun even more excited. he rushes off to register for the tournament before the principal can warn him that the competition is extremely dangerous and often leaves participants with serious injuries. Meanwhile, Tian arrives at his second part-time job. This time, he's required to wear a giant rabbit mascot costume to advertise a calf and attract customers. He begins working, but unfortunately, a group of children starts teasing him, bullying him, and making his job even more difficult. As Gia happens to pass by the calf, she notices the children bullying the giant rabbit mascot and immediately steps in to help. Inside the costume, Tian recognizes her, but he can't say a word. Gia, of course, has no idea it's him because his face is completely hidden. For the first time, Tian begins to see Gia differently. He realizes she's genuinely kind and always willing to help people. Maybe he was the one who misunderstood her all along. From that moment on, his opinion of her slowly starts to change. Meanwhile, Nan visits her father's sports club. Her father, Cheng, owns both a martial arts gym and a sporting goods store. While she's there, Lu comes in to buy some equipment. Nan still can't stand him after losing to him, which is unusual because she normally accepts defeat without holding a grudge. Her father, however, is thrilled when he learns that Lu defeated his daughter. He warmly greets Lu, explaining that he's a huge admirer and already knows Lu is the city's martial arts champion. He even invites Lu to join them for dinner. Nan becomes annoyed watching the two of them get along so well, so she leaves them behind and goes to meet Gia. Gia asks Nan to take the new bicycle she bought and give it to Tian instead because she's certain he won't accept it directly from her. Nan scolds Gia, reminding her that Tian is planning to leave the university because of everything that's happened. Gia explains her point of view. She insists she challenged Tian because she wanted him to train, become stronger, and learn how to protect himself. In her mind, she was trying to help him, not hurt him. Around the same time, Maya comes across a job advertisement for a car wash that specifically hires university students. She immediately sends it to Tian, hoping it might help him. When she arrives there herself, she's surprised to discover that Tian has already been hired and is working at the car wash. Maya stays with him until he finishes his shift, and the two walk home together. Along the way, she once again tries to convince Tian not to leave the university. Before she can finish, Tian interrupts, saying they've already reached his house. Pretending not to hear him, Maya cheerfully acts as though he's invited her inside, even though he never did. Soon Nan arrives as well, and she and Maya immediately start bickering with each other. Ignoring Tian's protests that his house is small and not suitable for entertaining guests, the two girls practically invite themselves inside anyway. When Tian's younger siblings see Gia arrive shortly afterward, they're overjoyed, especially Long, who admires her the most. The girls look around the tiny, modest house. Trying to ease the awkward atmosphere, Nan suggests they all play a board game together. Since Gia has never played before, she loses every single round. After the game ends, Little Lang shyly tells Gia that he really admires her and hopes that when he grows up, he'll become just like her, someone who's brave and afraid of nothing. The girls proudly tell him that everyone who studies at Jung University is a hero and that none of them fears anything. The very next second, all three girls let out terrified screams after spotting a tiny cockroach. Completely panicked, they jump around in fear. Hearing the screams, Tian rushes over and starts chasing the cockroach, trying to kill it. Before he can catch it, Long calmly picks it up, traps it inside a container, and saves the day. With the crisis over, everyone goes back to enjoying themselves. Later, Gia asks Tian to step outside with her. She shows him the brand new bicycle she bought to replace the one that was destroyed. Tian immediately refuses to accept it, saying it's far too expensive. Without giving him a choice, Gia grabs his hand and forces him to hold the bicycle. She then asks him a question. Why would he rather quit the university than fight her? She encourages him not to give up so easily, explaining that if he can simply survive the first round, which lasts only 1 minute, everyone will begin respecting him and thinking twice before looking down on him. She also tells him she's convinced he must have trained in martial arts before. What she can't understand is why someone with experience would rather surrender and get beaten than fight back with everything he has. Tian refuses to answer. Instead, he calmly tells her that she may be the queen inside the boxing ring, but that doesn't mean everyone in the world is obligated to treat her like one outside of it. As always, their conversation ends badly. Jia calls the girls over, and the three of them leave together. After they leave, Tian's younger brother approaches him and excitedly says he wants to learn kung fu so he can become just like Jia. Tian immediately refuses, insisting that violence never solves anything. Disappointed, Lang walks away upset with his older brother. Watching him leave reminds Tian of his own childhood. He remembers his father training him in boxing from a very young age. His mind then returns to the most painful day of his life, his father's final boxing match. During that fight, his father landed a devastating punch that accidentally killed his opponent inside the ring. Although it was an accident, Tian's father could never forgive himself for taking another person's life. The guilt destroyed him emotionally. People in the community gradually turned their backs on their family, and eventually even Tian's mother chose to leave, abandoning them to save herself. That tragedy is the reason Tian hates fighting so deeply. To him, violence has never solved anything, it has only brought suffering. Meanwhile, Jia can't stop thinking about Tian and trying to understand why he hates fighting so much. She also remembers the game she played with Tian's younger siblings and how badly she lost every round. Determined to improve, she goes home and starts practicing the same game with her younger brother so she'll be able to win the next time they play. The following day, the dean calls both Tian and Jia into his office. He tells them he's finally reached a decision that should settle the conflict between them. First, he officially cancels the boxing match between Tian and Jia, meaning Tian no longer has any reason to leave the university. Second, because both of them have caused so many problems, they'll receive the same punishment. To teach them how to cooperate, they're ordered to clean the university swimming pool together. Nan is assigned to supervise them and make sure they finish every bit of the work. Tian and Jia begin their punishment by cleaning the swimming pool together. Before long, they start splashing water at each other instead of working. When Nan sees them fooling around, she ties one of Tian's legs to one of Jia's, forcing them to work as a team. Left with no other choice, they cooperate until they finally finish cleaning the entire pool. Completely exhausted, they collapse on the ground to catch their breath. Meanwhile, Maya visits Tian's workplace to bring him some food, only to discover that he's off that day. As she's leaving, Sun accidentally bumps into her with his bicycle. He quickly apologizes, but when she almost falls into a puddle, Sun throws himself in front of her and gets soaked instead. The two walk together, and since Tian isn't there, Maya gives the food to Sun instead. While eating, Sun opens up about his feelings for Jia. He asks Maya if becoming a better cook would make Jia like him. Maya honestly tells him that Jia already has professional chefs cooking for her every day, and besides, she's an extremely difficult person to impress. Even after hearing that, Sun refuses to give up hope. Elsewhere, Nan still can't accept the fact that someone defeated her. She returns to Zheng University and challenges Lu to another match. Lu calmly accepts and invites her into the ring. However, just as they're about to begin, Nan suddenly feels unwell. Lu notices immediately and tells her they can't fight today because she isn't in condition to compete. Instead, he follows her outside and buys her a warm drink. Nan is surprised that he noticed she wasn't feeling well. She realizes he canceled the match because he was concerned about her rather than trying to avoid the fight. Meanwhile, Jia remains confused by the feelings she's developing toward Tian. As she's walking across campus, she overhears several girls talking about love and having a crush on someone. To her surprise, everything they describe matches exactly what she's been feeling herself, leaving her even more confused. At the same time, Tian is out with his younger siblings. As they enter a restaurant, he spots a familiar face, a bully from the city they used to live in. Worried for his brother and sister, Tian tells them to buy the food and take it home so they can avoid trouble. Before they can leave, the bully blocks Tian's path. His name is Chen. It's immediately clear that this isn't the first time they've crossed paths. When Long sees his older brother refusing to fight back, he becomes furious and punches Chen. Unfortunately, Chen is far stronger than the young boy. Unable to handle the situation through violence, Tian desperately begs Chen to leave him and his siblings alone. Satisfied, Chen walks away with a smile on his face. As he leaves, we learn what drives him. He believes bullying weaker people gives him a sense of strength. In his mind, if he ever stops being the bully, he'll become the victim instead. To keep feeling powerful, he joined the boxing club at Zheng University. Back home, Tian is overwhelmed with anger and frustration because he couldn't protect his family. While he's still upset, Long walks in and blames him for letting Chen bully them. He says Tian should have stood up to him and fought back. Hearing those words, Tian finally loses his temper. He shouts that Long is still too young to understand what fighting really costs. He reminds him that they lost their father because of boxing, and asks what would happen if Long got seriously hurt in a fight. "Who would I have left?" Tian asks. Long leaves the room unconvinced and still upset with his brother. Tian is left sitting alone, burdened by everything that's happened. The next morning, he apologizes to his younger siblings for failing to protect them and promises that from now on, no one will ever be allowed to hurt them again. Later at the university, Sun visits the boxing club hoping to show off his muscles and impress Jia. Instead, Maya arrives and completely embarrasses him. During the mandatory taekwondo class, Tian is forced to participate. The instructor asks for a volunteer to spar with Jia. Sun immediately raises his hand, eager to seize the opportunity. The moment he stands in front of Jia, she flips him onto the ground before he can even make a move. The instructor says that's enough and asks for another volunteer. To everyone's surprise, Sun gets back up and insists on continuing. As expected, Jia throws him to the ground once again, even more easily than before. In the middle of class, the dean calls Tian aside and tells him he must officially join one of the university clubs, even if he has no intention of entering fighting tournaments. After class, Tian goes looking for Nan and Maya. The moment they see him approaching, they panic and run away. Convinced he's about to reject their training offer again, Tian chases after them until he finally catches up. Instead of refusing, he hands them his weekly schedule and asks them to add training sessions wherever possible because he wants their help. The girls are stunned when they see how packed his schedule already is. After searching carefully, they manage to find only a single free time slot during the entire week. Both girls immediately begin arguing over who gets to train him during that one available hour. That evening, Jia stops to buy an ice cream, but only one is left. Before anyone else can take it, the giant rabbit mascot reserves it for her. Jia has no idea that the person inside the costume is Tian. Later, she visits Cheng's martial arts gym, where she finds him training Lu. We then learn that Lu is already a professional-level boxer and one of China's rising martial arts talents. Lu asks Cheng about the legendary 10 death strikes. The name isn't an exaggeration. These techniques are genuinely capable of killing someone. Cheng explains that because they're forbidden techniques, only he and one close friend ever knew them. Sadly, that friend has passed away, leaving Cheng as the only remaining person who possesses the complete knowledge. Lu sincerely asks Cheng to teach him the techniques. Cheng agrees, but only under several conditions. The first is that Lu must prove he isn't driven by violence and would never abuse such dangerous skills to hurt innocent people. At that moment, Nan walks into the gym. Smiling, Cheng quietly points toward her and adds another condition. Lu must never give up trying to win Nan's approval. When Nan realizes her father is personally training the very man who defeated her, she becomes furious. She can't believe her own father chose her rival. Upset, she storms out of the gym. Cheng then reveals his final condition. Nan must agree to let the two of them train together. The following day, Jia is shocked to discover that Tian's name has officially been entered into the university tournament. At the same time, the tournament brackets are announced. Lu, Chen, and Tian all end up in the same division. Chen immediately mocks Tian for entering the competition. When he sees Tian in person, he walks over to provoke him again. Before he can do anything, Jia suddenly appears, grabs one of Chen's fingers, and painfully twists it until it nearly breaks. She coldly warns him that this is Zheng University's territory and that he had better stay within his limits. Lu quickly steps in and apologizes on Chen's behalf for his behavior. Gia refuses to let Chen go until Tian asks her to stop. Before leaving, Tian looks directly at Chen and calmly tells him that he'll train hard and face him properly in the tournament. With that, Tian walks away. Lu also leaves, clearly disappointed and frustrated by Chen's disgraceful behavior. When Lu and Chen return to their martial arts club, Lu gives Chen a serious lecture about the values and principles of boxing. He reminds him that a true martial artist never uses strength to bully the weak. Lu warns him that if he ever finds out Chen is harassing someone again, he will have no one to blame but himself. Later that evening, Gia's younger brother John tells her to get ready because they're having dinner with an old friend of their grandfather named Huang. As soon as Gia gets into the car, John reveals the real reason for the invitation. The dinner isn't just a friendly gathering, it's actually meant to introduce Gia to Huang's son as a potential marriage partner. At the same time, Tian reports for work at the very same restaurant where the meeting is being held. When Gia arrives, she's shocked to discover that Huang's son is none other than Shi, the same boy who bullied and humiliated her when she was a child. Unable to hide her discomfort, Gia quietly steps outside to get some fresh air. She follows her and sincerely tries to apologize for what he did years ago. Gia refuses to accept his apology and walks away without another word. The moment she leaves, she receives a phone call. From the conversation, we learn that he never truly intended to reconnect with Gia because he felt guilty. He was simply trying to get closer to her for the sake of his father's interests. Unbeknownst to either of them, Tian witnesses the entire conversation and hears every word. A little later, while serving their table, Tian deliberately spills juice all over Shai. The restaurant manager immediately fires Tian for the incident. Gia rushes after him and asks whether he did it on purpose. Tian lies and claims it was just an accident. But Gia isn't fooled. She's certain he intentionally ruined Shi's evening because of what he overheard. Determined to know the truth, she keeps questioning him until Tian finally admits that he heard everything she said. He also apologizes for calling her a monster the first time they met, realizing how unfairly he had judged her. Touched by both his apology and the fact that he lost his job because he stood up for her, Gia invites Tian to dinner as a way of thanking him. The two of them end up eating at Sun's mother's noodle restaurant. When Sun notices them together, he immediately joins their table. Before long, Gia receives a phone call and has to leave. After she's gone, Sun confesses to Tian that he has feelings for Gia and nervously asks if there's anything romantic between the two of them. Tian reassures him that there isn't and encourages Sun to take his chance if he truly likes her. That night, Tian returns home and takes out his old taekwondo uniform. He gives it to his younger brother and tells him that he's finally allowing him to start taekwondo training. He also tells his siblings that he has decided to compete in the university tournament. The two children become overjoyed. Elsewhere, Sun's mother advises her son to forget about Gia because it's obvious she likes someone else. Sun, however, refuses to believe it and stubbornly holds on to hope. The following day, Tian studies the tournament rules. He's extremely nervous because he's never wanted to fight in the first place. Nan and Maya arrive and confidently tell him that, within just a few days, they'll prepare him well enough to win, rather than turning him into a powerful fighter overnight. They decide to focus on his greatest advantage, his speed. Their strategy is simple. Tian should constantly move, avoid direct confrontations, and survive each round by using quick footwork. If he can keep dodging attacks, his opponents will eventually tire themselves out. Meanwhile, at the taekwondo class attended by Tian's younger siblings, another child begins teasing Lang. The argument quickly turns into a fight after the boy calls Lang a liar for claiming he personally knows the famous queen. Gia, the instructor, separates the children, but even he doesn't believe Lang's story. Feeling humiliated that nobody believes him, Lang bursts into tears and runs away. Back at the university, all the students are surprised when Gia joins Tian, Nan, Maya, and Sun for lunch in the cafeteria. She explains that the dean personally asked her to help train Tian. Maya immediately objects because she secretly likes Tian and wants to be the one training him instead. Before the discussion can continue, Sun accidentally reveals a huge secret. He casually tells everyone that Tian and Jia had dinner together the previous night and that Jia was the one who invited him. Neither Tian nor Jia can find any excuse to explain themselves. Just then, Tian receives an urgent phone call from the Taekwondo Academy. He's told that Lang ran away from practice and nobody knows where he is. Panicking, Tian rushes home to look for his brother. When he doesn't find him there, he searches desperately throughout the neighborhood. Meanwhile, Maya and Sun secretly make an agreement. Each of them will help the other get closer to the person they love. While Tian is searching everywhere, Lang is actually standing outside Jia's university waiting for her. As soon as she comes out, he shyly asks if she'll come with him to his Taekwondo club so he can prove to everyone that he wasn't lying about knowing her. Without hesitation, Jia agrees. When they arrive, every child and even the instructors are left speechless after seeing the famous queen standing right in front of them. The boy who bullied Lang immediately apologizes. Jia smiles and promises the children that she'll visit once every month to train with them. Her promise fills all of them with excitement and motivation. Soon afterward, Tian finally arrives and finds his siblings. Relieved but frustrated, he scolds Lang, not only for fighting with another child, but also for disappearing without telling anyone where he was going, causing everyone to worry. The story then shifts back to Lu and Cheng. Lu honestly admits that he's fallen in love with Nan because of her determination and strong personality. He goes on to say that he can't accept Cheng's conditions merely to learn the deadly techniques. If his feelings weren't genuine and he only pretended to care about Nan for the sake of training, then his love wouldn't be real. Cheng is deeply impressed by Lu's honesty. Just then, Nan walks in. She announces that she's heading out for her usual running practice. Her father immediately tells her that Lu is about to go running as well and suggests they train together. Leaving the two of them behind, the story returns to Tian. While walking with his younger siblings, they come across a hot dog eating contest. Jia happens to be nearby, and Tian asks her to join their team for the sake of his brother and sister. The two compete together and end up winning the contest. Spending time with Jia like this makes Tian realize that he's slowly being drawn to her. Meanwhile, Lu and Nan reach the top of a mountain during their run. Nan discovers that Lu is trying to learn the legendary death strikes from her father. She's stunned to learn that Cheng actually agreed to teach him after refusing to teach her. Her father had always feared that because of her fiery temper, she might one day use those techniques in anger. As they begin running back down the mountain, Nan accidentally loses the trail. Suddenly, a snake bites Lu. Pretending the bite is fatal, Lu acts as though he's dying, even though the snake isn't venomous. Nan immediately panics. She grabs his hand and desperately tries to suck the poison from the wound to save him. Feeling guilty, Lu quickly stops her and explains that the snake isn't poisonous at all. Instead of calming down, Nan becomes furious after realizing he'd tricked her. She punches him several times before storming off in embarrassment. Finally, the story returns to Sun's family restaurant. Tian is hired to work there again under the excuse that he needs another job. In reality, however, Sun's mother has a hidden motive. She wants Tian working close to her so he won't have any opportunities to get closer to Jia. That evening, Tian's younger siblings prepare dinner at home and happily call Jia, inviting her to come over and eat with them. While Tian is working at the restaurant, Chen suddenly shows up. The moment he sees Tian, he immediately starts acting arrogant and looking down on him. However, Sun and Maya quickly step in and put him in his place. Chen shamelessly tells them that he is a customer, which means they must treat him with respect no matter what. He then orders a huge amount of food, clearly trying to cause trouble. Sun warns him that whatever happens, he will still have to pay for everything he ordered. They bring Chen all the food he asked for, but after tasting the very first dish, he immediately complains that it tastes bad. He says Tian should be the one to pay for the entire meal. Sun and Maya become furious and are about to lose control, but they stop when Lu arrives. Lu calmly steps in and pays for all the food himself. Chen walks away angrily, upset that his own coach sided with Tian instead of defending him. Lu then apologizes to Tian for what happened. At that moment, Nan enters the restaurant, and her skin is completely red because of an allergic reaction. Later, Tian heads home with Maya and Nan. When he arrives, he is surprised to find Gia playing with his younger siblings. They all sit together and eat, but Maya starts to feel suspicious, sensing that something is happening between Tian and Gia that she doesn't know about. After dinner, the three girls leave together. Tian notices that Gia forgot her bottle, so he goes outside to return it to her. But before he can approach them, he overhears Gia telling Nan that she does not love Tian. She says he is not suitable for her socially, and not even from the perspective of strength. Hearing those words crushes Tian. He goes back home feeling deeply hurt because he had already started developing feelings for Gia and believed she might feel the same way. The next day, Lu gathers all the members of his club and gives them a serious lesson about discipline, morals, and the proper way to use their strength. Although he speaks to everyone, his words are clearly directed at Chen. This only makes Chen hate him even more. Meanwhile, Gia keeps thinking about Tian. Suddenly, he appears in front of her and tells her that he is willing to do anything she asks in exchange for the expensive bicycle she bought him. Gia refuses and says she does not need anything from him. In truth, she only wants to end the conversation quickly because being around Tian makes her nervous. At the same time, a cake is delivered to Tian's house. Long receives it and immediately starts eating despite his sister warning him not to. After finishing the cake, he suddenly feels severe stomach pain. Maya arrives at that moment and quickly takes him to the hospital. Meanwhile, Gia goes to the company and sees Uncle Ji's wife. Strangely, when Gia speaks to her, the woman denies knowing her and even denies being Ji's wife at all. Back at the hospital, Tian rushes in after hearing what happened. The doctor tells them that Lang has food poisoning. Everyone immediately suspects the cake. Tian calls his friend who works at the same restaurant to find out who sent the cake. He soon discovers that Chen was behind it. Without thinking, Tian storms straight to Zheng University. Maya calls Nan and tells her to hurry before the situation gets worse. Nan then contacts Gia, and they all rush to the university. The moment Tian enters the club, he attacks Chen. The other members quickly hold him back. When Jiffen realizes that Tian is the same guy Gia had chosen as her opponent before, she takes it personally and challenges him to a fight. Blinded by anger, Tian accepts. Of course, Jiffen is much stronger than him. She beats him badly until Lu finally steps in and stops her. He scolds her, reminding her that as the vice leader of the club, she should behave with wisdom and responsibility. Lu asks Tian why he caused all this trouble. Tian explains that Chen sent poisoned food to his house, and now his little brother is in the hospital because of it. Chen immediately denies everything, and Jiffen supports him without even thinking. Suddenly, another student rushes in and announces that there is a serious problem because students from Jia's university have arrived outside. When everyone goes out, they find Nan and Jia waiting there. Their reason is obvious. They came to take Tian and leave. But Jiffen refuses to let them go, saying Tian was the one who crossed the line between the two universities first. Everyone starts arguing until Ming arrives with the rest of her team. She says the dean has ordered all his students to return to the university immediately. When they stand before the dean, Tian says he will take full responsibility because he was the one who made the mistake. However, the girls keep defending him and explaining why he did what he did. Even after hearing everything, the dean is not convinced because he is bound by strict rules that must be followed. That is when Gia uses her last card. She tells the dean that if he expels Tian, then he should expel her too. Maya and Nan immediately stand beside her and support her decision. Seeing the girls defend him so strongly makes Tian feel grateful. He realizes that he has to stay at the university, not only for himself, but also for the people who now believe in him. He asks the dean to give them one more chance. The dean is surprised because this is the first time Tian himself actually wants to remain at the university. Tian explains that he spent so long avoiding fights, but avoiding conflict never made conflict stay away from him. Instead, it only made him an easy target for bullying and humiliation. Because of that, he has decided to look at the world differently. He says the reason for this change is the girls who stood beside him, and he does not want to betray the trust they have placed in him. Meanwhile, Chen is being scolded by Lu for causing the huge conflict between the two universities. When Chen tries to defend himself, himself, Lu refuses to listen and angrily reminds him that he started all of this. Jafin becomes upset when she hears Lu blaming Chen. She believes a leader should always defend his club members no matter what. She accuses Lu of acting this way only because he wants Nan's approval so he can continue training under her father. When the other members hear this, most of them turn against Lu. They give him two choices: either stop training with Nan's father, or they will no longer recognize him as their leader. Most of the club members walk away, leaving only a few who still support him. Even so, Lu refuses to change his mind. He believes training at Cheng's gym does not harm his club in any way, and he should not be forced to choose between the two. Back at Jia's university, the dean finally agrees to let Tian stay, but only on one condition: Tian must make it through the preliminary rounds of the tournament. After the meeting, Tian stops Jia and thanks her for what she did for him, especially because she was willing to be expelled from the university for his sake. Jia becomes nervous and quickly tells him not to misunderstand. She says she did not do it because she loves him or anything like that. Tian looks confused and tells her he never thought that in the first place. He thanks her again and walks away. After he leaves, Jia suddenly realizes that maybe the feelings are only coming from her side. The next day, Tian begins training with the three girls, and Sun joins them as well. Nan starts with Tian's first lesson. She teaches him how to resist closing his eyes whenever he is attacked so he can learn to dodge punches properly over time. To train him, she keeps throwing punches at him again and again. Tian still cannot keep his eyes open while training. Every time Nan attacks, all he can do is cover his face with his hands. To help him understand, Nan asks Maya to attack her instead. Of course, Maya is more than happy to do it. She immediately launches her attack. But Nan dodges every strike easily because she keeps her eyes open and watches each movement carefully. Then Nan turns back to Tian and attacks him again, encouraging him to open his eyes and defend himself properly. Meanwhile, Jia and John head to the company for an important meeting. As they enter, Jia overhears one of the employees talking badly about them, saying they are too young and not qualified to manage the company. Jia stops and teaches the employee a lesson. She explains that John, the young boy they are underestimating, has been trained to run the company since he was 5 years old. Because of his responsibilities, he never even had a normal childhood. He has been working in the company for 10 years, starting as a simple buffet worker before rising to his current position. After putting the employee in her place, Jia walks away. Back at training, Tian finally manages to keep his eyes open and dodge Nan's punches. When they sit down to rest, Nan notices something strange. The way Tian moves makes her even more certain that he has trained before. That night, Jia returns to the cafe and sees the rabbit mascot again. She orders 2 coffees, one for herself and one for the rabbit. Without knowing that Tian is inside the costume, she begins talking to him. She tells him that she wants to speak to someone, and for some reason, she feels comfortable talking to him. Maybe it is because he reminds her of the teddy bear she loved as a child, or maybe because they do not really know each other. Jia explains that she has a friend who needs her help, but he is too proud to accept it. He keeps insisting that he must repay her for anything she does for him. She blames herself, saying she probably says things in a way that can easily be misunderstood. Then she says she is thinking about asking this friend to help her with something in return, so he will no longer feel like he owes her. She asks the rabbit what he thinks. Tian silently gestures that her idea makes sense. After she leaves, Tian is left wondering whether she was talking about him. The next day, Tian trains with Maya. During the session, Maya pretends that she is about to fall so Tian will catch her. Nan walks in at that exact moment and, as usual, scolds Maya for using training as an excuse to get closer to him. After practice, the girls go to help Tian with his work, and Jia joins them as well. Maya notices the way Tian and Jia look at each other and begins to feel even more suspicious. Tian thanks everyone for helping him. For the first time, he opens up and tells them that he used to refuse help because he believed accepting help would make him look weak. But after everything they have done for him, he finally understands that helping each other is what makes friendships stronger. He thanks them for being in his life, but his eyes remain fixed on Jia, and she notices. Later, the dean tells the principal that they need to organize a competition between the two universities. The principal excitedly says he has already informed everyone to prepare for events like boxing and taekwondo, but the dean interrupts him and explains that the goal is to improve the relationship between the two schools. Because of that, the competition will also include a dance party. A message is sent across the entire university announcing the event. The students are completely unhappy with the idea because dancing is the last thing they are prepared for. The moment Maya sees the announcement, she asks Tian to be her partner at the party. Tian refuses, saying he does not know how to dance and wants to focus on martial arts training instead. Then he walks away. Meanwhile, Jia secretly waits for Tian. When he comes out, she walks beside him as if their meeting is a coincidence. She decides to carry out the plan she had been thinking about and asks him to help her teach the children because she promised them she would. Sun immediately interrupts and offers to help Jia instead, especially since he has trained with her before. But he looks extremely tired, so Jia uses that as an excuse and tells him to rest. Jia and Tian go together to train the children, who are thrilled to see her. She teaches them how to break wooden boards, but she does it in a gentle and simple way so they will feel encouraged instead of scared. After they leave, Tian is surprised by her behavior. This is not the Jia he is used to seeing. She is usually not someone who worries about other people's feelings. For the first time, Jia opens up to him. She tells him that her trainer once told her martial arts training is extremely harsh, and if the children do not learn to love the sport, they will never continue. Her words encourage Tian to ask something that has been bothering him. He asks why she destroyed the old woman's runaway cart instead of simply stopping it. Jia finally explains that there was a little girl crossing the street and the cart was about to hit her. Tian feels embarrassed. He realizes he judged her without understanding the truth. The next day, Tian begins training in Kung Fu. Maya explains that leg training is especially important because the legs carry a large part of the body's power. She starts showing him how to train properly, but as usual, she and Nan quickly begin arguing. Tian ignores them and focuses on training. His movements are surprisingly skillful, which makes Nan even more certain that he has trained before. After that, Tian trains in boxing, and this time his opponent is Jia. Jia starts throwing punches at him, but soon becomes upset. Tian never tries to attack her. All he does is defend himself weakly. She tells him that he needs to change. He cannot keep suffering silently. He has to face things directly and learn how to fight back. Tian leaves while thinking deeply about her words. He remembers the moment that changed his life forever, the day his father's opponent died in the ring, and the day his mother abandoned their family. When Tian arrives home, Chen is waiting for him. As usual, Chen starts bullying him, trying to boost his own confidence before the tournament. But for the first time, Tian manages to defend himself. He even gets the chance to strike Chen, but he stops himself at the last second and punches the wall beside Chen's head instead because of the university rules. Tian enters his house staring at his injured hand. Even though it is wounded, he does not feel pain. Instead, he feels proud because he finally protected himself. Now he believes he can protect his younger siblings too. The next day, when Tian returns to the university, Maya is very worried about him. Tian calms her down and tells her that even though he is injured, he now has enough confidence to enter the tournament prepared. He begins carefully studying Chen's attack style, focusing on his movements until he can recognize both his strengths and weaknesses. Soon, news spreads across the university that everyone must attend the dance party because it will also serve as a graduation celebration. This puts pressure on Tian because the dress code is formal, and he has no idea where he can get a suit. Jia brings him 100 suits as a gift, but Tian refuses to accept them. Instead, he gives her money to repay her for the food she keeps bringing to his house and for cooking for his siblings every day. After that, Tian meets the dean for another matter. The dean asks him about his suit, and Tian becomes nervous because everyone seems too focused on what he will wear. Tian says he cares more about his training than his clothes. The dean is pleased with his answer and tells him not to worry about the suit. Finally, the day of the party arrives. The principal stands at the entrance and checks all the girls to make sure they are not carrying weapons. His fear turns out to be justified because many of them actually have sharp tools hidden with them. Nan arrives wearing a suit because she is not used to wearing dresses. Of course, she does not escape the teasing of the other girls. Then Sun arrives dressed like royalty. Gia enters wearing a soft, elegant dress. The party begins, and the dean warmly welcomes the students from Jung University. Finally, Tian arrives wearing a handsome suit. Maya immediately asks him to dance with her, but Tian refuses because he does not know how to dance. Nan pulls Maya away to give Gia a chance to talk to Tian, but the two of them remain silent and do not know what to say to each other. Meanwhile, Jaffin makes fun of Nan's outfit. The two of them make a bet that whoever gets invited to dance first will win. Lu then walks over and asks Nan to dance with him. Of course, Nan accepts because of the bet. The people around them think Nan is a boy, so they start mocking Lu for dancing with her. But Lu quietly tells Nan that even if everyone else sees her as a boy, he sees her as a special girl. His words make Nan extremely happy, but she tries to hide it. Lu notices anyway, and the two continue dancing. The story then returns to the others. Sun takes Tian outside for a while, and two girls from Jeng University come over to take pictures with Sun. At the same time, Gia leaves the party and walks outside. She runs into Tian and asks why he did not stay inside. Tian tells her that he does not know how to dance. Gia offers to teach him, and she really does. Afterward, she takes him to her house and lets him train with her brother. Tian and John begin sparring. At first, John is the one attacking, but Tian eventually manages to land a strike on him, ending the training session. John encourages Tian to keep training because he clearly has talent. Before running away, he also asks Tian to take care of his sister, then escapes before Gia can hit him. Meanwhile, Maya is at the university breaking every wooden board she can find. She is upset because the party did not go the way she imagined, and she never got to spend time with Tian. Back at Gia's house, Gia opens her heart to Tian. She tells him that if it were not for her brother, she would never have been able to enter Zhang University and become a boxer. John took responsibility for the company at a very young age, so their grandfather would allow Gia to follow the path she loved. When Tian blames her grandfather for putting so much pressure on them, Gia defends him. She explains that she understands why he acts that way. Their parents died when they were young, so their grandfather was forced to prepare both Gia and John to take over the company one day. He had no choice but to teach them how to manage everything. Gia also tells Tian about Uncle Ji. She explains that he was the only person who truly cared for her, and she saw him as family until the day he died. Time passes quickly between them, and Tian soon has to leave for work. Gia offers to drive him there. Meanwhile, Maya gathers her courage and decides to go to Tian's workplace, hoping to fix the day and spend time with him the way she wanted. When Tian arrives at the car wash, he is surprised to find Maya already working in his place. She explains that he was late, and she was afraid he might get fired, so she covered for him. Maya then decides that she will work with him for the rest of the day. After work, they go home and prepare lunch together. Tian notices that Maya is very good at cooking. Maya tells him that she learned how to cook because her mother was always away because of work. Hearing this makes Tian realize that everyone carries their own problems, and what we see from the outside is not always the full truth. Meanwhile, Gia brings food to Tian's house, but when she arrives, she is surprised to see Maya inside. Everyone is eating together happily. Feeling disappointed, Gia quietly goes back home and eats all the food she brought by herself. At Jeng University, all the girls are training intensely because the tournament is about to begin. The students also go through physical examinations to make sure they are healthy enough to fight. When the medical results come out, Tian is declared 98% fit. When Chen sees the results, he mocks Tian, but Gia hears him and immediately puts him in his place. Lu tells Chen that they need to see Tian for themselves. He takes him to the training club, where they watch Tian training with impressive skill. Lu says Tian must be naturally talented, otherwise he would never have reached this level in such a short time. Then, Lu makes Chen face the truth and asks whether he really believes he can defeat Tian. Chen returns to training with full power and focus. His sudden seriousness catches Jifen's attention, and she asks Lu what happened. Lu does not tell her the reason, but he is happy to see Chen finally training properly. That night, Jia visits her grandfather because he asked to see her. He scolds her, saying she has too much free time and is wasting it instead of helping the company. He orders her to focus on an important company project. The next day, Nan goes to her father's gym and finds Lu training there. She tells him they cannot keep training in the same place because they will learn each other's weaknesses, which would be unfair since they are going to compete against each other. Lu does not want to upset her, so he agrees to come back after she finishes. Before leaving, he asks her to go out with him, hoping to get closer to her. But Nan, being sharp and suspicious, assumes he only wants to get information from her about the tournament, so she refuses. Lu loses hope and walks out. Outside, Jifin appears in front of him and blames him for still coming to the gym after everything that happened. She tells him to choose between her and Nan. Lu makes it clear that he sees Jifin only as a friend and nothing more. Then he tells her directly that he loves Nan. Hearing this makes Jifin burn with jealousy. She tells him she will not give up so easily. Later, Cheng returns to the gym and asks where Lu is. Nan tells him that she sent Lu away. Cheng becomes upset and tells her they need to talk. But their talk is not a normal conversation. It turns into a boxing match between father and daughter. They keep hitting each other while finally saying everything that has been bothering them. The fight continues until Jia enters and takes Nan away to her room. There, Jia tells Nan that she will be absent from university for a while because she has work to handle at the company. The next day at the university, Nan sees Maya following Tian as usual. Nan quietly follows them and discovers that Maya is going with Tian to buy things for his house and also help prepare dinner for his siblings. When Nan hears that Maya is going with Tian to buy things for his house and prepare dinner, she immediately runs over and says she wants to come with them too. Of course, Tian does not refuse. They all go together, and Maya prepares a delicious meal that impresses everyone. She takes a group photo and sends it to Jia. Nan also messages Jia, telling her that Maya cooks so well that even though Jia is her friend, she cannot lie and deny the truth. Jia becomes extremely annoyed. She goes home and starts trying to cook so she can beat Maya, but she fails miserably even though she follows every step correctly. The next day at university, Tian continues his training. This time, the lesson focuses on enduring attacks aimed at the legs. After training, Tian is completely exhausted. Maya agrees with Nan that she will cover Tian's advertising job so he can rest. After a lot of insisting, Tian finally accepts. Coincidentally, Jia goes to the cafe that same day and approaches the rabbit mascot like usual. She asks the rabbit if she really needs to learn how to cook in order to impress the person she likes. Maya suddenly removes the mascot head and scolds Jia for trying to steal Tian away. Jia freezes. She cannot believe that all this time, the person she had been talking to was actually Tian. She walks away while remembering every conversation she had with him. Then, she goes to Nan and tells her everything. Nan advises her to act as if she never found out. Because Tian probably already knew from the beginning anyway, she tells Jia to stay serious with him during training and not make things awkward. The next day, Maya calls Tian over and tells him many things that Jia cannot hear. Then, Maya says, it is a secret. All of this happens right in front of Jia, making her extremely nervous. She quickly goes to Tian and asks him what the secret is. Tian looks confused and tells her that Maya was only saying she would buy him new sports shoes for his birthday. The moment Jia hears that, she calms down and tells him that he really does need to buy new shoes. Then she walks away, leaving Tian completely confused by her strange behavior. After that, Tian goes to train, while Jia angrily confronts Maya about the prank she pulled on her. When it is time for Tian's training, Jia becomes extremely aggressive during the fight. Nan stops Maya from getting close because Jia is clearly not in a normal mood. After training, Sun asks Tian to replace him at the cafe advertising job. At the same time, Nan scolds Jia for being unable to confess her feelings. She tells her that she needs to make a decision. The worst thing that can happen is that Tian does not love her back, and at least then she will know the truth. But if he does love her, then she will finally know their feelings are mutual. Meanwhile, Sun is working in Tian's place inside the rabbit costume. Suddenly, Maya approaches him and confesses her feelings, thinking he is Tian. Sun tries to run away, but Maya stops him. Left with no choice, he reveals his face. The moment Maya sees that it is Sun, she beats him up. The next day, everyone learns that the tournament groups have been decided. Tian ends up in the same group as Lu and Chen. Tian is shocked when he discovers that the preliminary matches will all happen on the first day of the competition. Even though there are many participants and only 8 fighters will qualify, he learns that this is because many competitors usually withdraw before the matches even begin. Nan tells him to ask Jia because she will definitely help him. At that moment, Jia is practicing how to confess her love, but when Tian suddenly appears in front of her, she forgets everything she prepared. Instead of confessing, she simply answers his question and tells him that he needs strong willpower if he wants to walk out of the ring as a winner. Then she leaves without telling him how she feels. Jia goes home and tries to cook again, but she fails once more. When she comes out, she sees her brother bringing noodles from Sun's mother's restaurant. That gives her an idea. She decides to learn cooking from someone who actually knows how to cook well. She calls Sun and asks him to teach her. She goes to the restaurant and Sun begins teaching her all the recipes he knows while becoming even more attracted to her. Meanwhile, Tian continues training and his improvement becomes obvious. Jia also keeps practicing cooking every night until she finally becomes good at it. She prepares noodles for Nan and tells her that she has decided to express her feelings through food, so Tian will not feel pressured. On the other side, Sun is completely lost in his own imagination. He convinces himself that Jia is coming to his restaurant to learn cooking because she wants to get closer to him. He tells this to Tian, and Tian immediately feels jealous. He goes to training while full of anger. Nan notices his bad mood but does not understand the reason. She tells him to stop so they can eat lunch. That day, Jia has prepared food for the entire university. Everyone lines up to eat, but Tian sees how Jia and Sun are interacting and becomes upset. When Maya arrives and tells him to eat the food she made instead, Tian immediately leaves with her. Seeing this hurts Jia deeply. She believes Tian has chosen Maya over her, and in that moment, she feels like she has finally received her answer. When Sun sees Jia standing there sadly, he tells her she needs to return with him and finish what she started by serving food to their classmates. But Jia refuses, and her sadness is obvious. That night, Sun sits alone feeling depressed, remembering everything that happened throughout the day. His mother enters and tells him it would be better to stop loving Jia because Jia clearly loves his friend. But Sun still holds on to hope. He believes that one day, Jia might finally notice him and love him back. Meanwhile, Jia is training furiously because, in her mind, Tian chose Maya instead of choosing her. Nan tries to calm her down and explains that Maya is always clinging to Tian, so Jia should not jump to conclusions too quickly. Cheng enters at that moment, and they all sit down to eat together. Cheng proudly talks about his student Lu and says he is going to support him in the tournament. Of course, this upsets Nan because her father has never once come to support her, despite all the competitions she has entered. Her father says she will probably accuse him again of loving Lu more than her, especially because he plans to teach Lu the deadly techniques. Jia's expression changes the moment she hears about the deadly techniques. She immediately remembers Uncle Ji and asks Cheng how he knows about those deadly strikes. Cheng explains that his master was the only person who knew them. That master taught the techniques to him and one other friend. That friend was the person who killed his opponent in the ring. Jia leaves angrily, while Cheng has no idea what he said wrong. Nan follows Jia to understand what happened. Jia tells her that Uncle Ji was the person who understood her best and knew how to deal with her. He died because of that deadly strike. Since that day, Jia has hated the person who killed him, and she hates anyone who chooses to learn those techniques. She begs Nan never to learn those deadly strikes, or she will lose her too. Then Jia leaves. She goes home and trains in boxing without gloves until her hands are injured. John tries to comfort her. The next day, Lou meets Nan, and she tells him that the Uncle G who died in the ring was Gia's uncle. Lou feels that Uncle G's death was not natural. He suspects that the deadly strike was not the real reason he died. At the same time, Tian dreams that Gia is confessing her love to him. He wakes up startled and tries to calm himself down. When he goes downstairs, he finds Maya at his house. Tian tries to talk to her honestly about his feelings and explain that he sees her like a younger sister, but Maya cuts him off before he can finish. She tells him she does not want to hear anything until the tournament is over. The first day of the tournament finally arrives. Chen and his friends immediately start bullying Tian, but this time, Tian does not stay silent. He answers Chen strongly, then leaves him behind and walks away. At the same time, Jifen tries to provoke Gia, but Gia ignores her completely and leaves. The competition begins with Sun facing a girl named Shiloh from Zheng University. She is a very strong opponent, but the match ends with Sun's victory. Afterward, Gia goes out to buy drinks. While she is there, she notices a mysterious person whose face is not clear. He is mocking the tournament, but Gia has no idea who he is. Meanwhile, Jeffin tries to speak to Lou, but when she sees Nan standing beside him, jealousy takes over, and she immediately changes her mind. Back at the arena, Sun's next match is against Lou. From backstage, Tian watches carefully and manages to analyze both fighters' movements. He can clearly identify their strengths and weaknesses. The match ends with Lou winning by knockout. Cheng becomes extremely proud of his student, but this makes Sun's mother and Tian's siblings dislike him immediately. After that, Gia goes to check on Tian because his match is about to begin. She encourages him and tells him he must win because he is capable of doing it. The match between Tian and Lou begins. Lou attacks Tian with great force, while Tian does everything he can to defend himself. Then, suddenly, Lou surrenders. Tian wins. Both universities and the entire audience are shocked. Jifin immediately goes to Lou, demanding to know how he could do something like that when he is the leader of their club. Lou reminds her that he gave her the leadership of the club before the match and says he is ready to accept whatever punishment comes his way. Jifin becomes furious because she is sure he did it only because he loves Nan, but Lou explains that he surrendered to teach Chen a lesson about how boxing should be used. The tournament continues, and Tian's next opponent is Chen. Chen attacks Tian brutally and knocks him down hard, but as Tian lies there, he remembers every time Chen bullied him. He also remembers the words of his younger siblings. Slowly, he gets back up stronger than before. The match ends with Tian winning after Chen passes out. Tian returns backstage feeling happy because he has finally broken through his fear and achieved his goal. Then he collapses. He is taken to the clinic for treatment. Later, Cheng visits Lou and proudly tells him that he is a real man for doing something like that for love. He says he will continue treating him well and training him as long as Lou treats Nan well. Jafine overhears them and mistakenly believes that Lou is only pretending to love Nan so he can continue training under her father. The next day, the dean meets with Tian and the girls to decide what should happen. Because Tian fainted, he technically did not complete the preliminary rounds as agreed. According to the rules, he should be expelled. Gia tries to convince the dean that results are not always the only thing that matters. She asks him to look at Tian's effort and training instead. The dean interrupts them and tells them to give him a chance to speak. He explains that he already thinks Tian is excellent and has no intention of expelling him. All the girls jump with happiness. Tian thanks them all for everything they have done for him. Afterward, the group spends a beautiful time together, playing, laughing, and enjoying the moment. When the day ends, Gia walks Tian home. However, she is surprised when Maya gets out with him. Maya goes inside and talks to Tian's siblings. She tells them that she will move in and live with them soon. What she really means is that she hopes to become Tian's girlfriend. Tian asks Maya to let him walk her home because it is already late. On the way, he gently tells her that he sees her as a sister and nothing more. He also admits that he loves someone else. Maya immediately understands that he is talking about Gia. She hides her pain and tells him to go back to his siblings because she can go home alone. Then she walks through the street crying because Tian has rejected her love. At the same time, Nan is also struggling with her emotions after Lu confessed that he loves her. The fact that Lu surrendered in the tournament also worries her, because she knows it probably caused problems for him at his university. She does not understand why she feels so concerned about him, so she calls him and asks to meet. When they meet, she scolds him for what he did, using the excuse that her father likes him. Lu immediately understands that she is actually worried about him. He tells her she needs to be honest about her feelings. Then he confesses again. He says Nan was the reason he joined her father's gym from the very beginning. He tells her that he loves her and wants to see her every day, every hour, and every second. His words make Nan extremely flustered. She runs away from him and goes straight to Jia's house, confused and angry. Jia immediately understands that Lu confessed to her. Nan stays awake all night talking and does not let Jia sleep either. The next day, the dean of Zheng University calls Lu in and decides to punish him by making him work as a cleaner around campus. It is better than expelling him completely, and Lu accepts the punishment because he knows he acted wrongly, even if his intentions were good. Chen starts bullying Lu and refuses to leave him alone, but Lu keeps ignoring him and refuses to lose his temper. Back at Jia's university, Maya manages to act normally around Tian again, which makes things more comfortable between them. Still, deep inside, she continues to hope that he might love her someday. Nan suddenly interrupts their conversation in frustration because she and Maya have failed English. They need to study hard if they want to pass the second round. Since Tian is good at academics, he decides to help them study as a way of repaying some of their kindness. When Jia hears that Tian will be tutoring them, she likes the idea a little too much. She decides to fail one of her subjects on purpose so Tian will have to tutor her too, giving them a chance to grow closer. So during the test, Jia answers every question incorrectly on purpose. The next day, Jia sits in class happily, imagining herself asking Tian for help and picturing how it will bring them closer. But then the teacher's voice snaps her back to reality. He tells her that she did excellently and received a perfect score. Jia goes home furious with her brother because he corrected all her answers. John does not understand why she is angry. From his point of view, he did her a favor, otherwise she would have received terrible grades. Meanwhile, Tian continues tutoring Nan and Maya. On the night before the exam, the group gathers at Cheng's gym. Maya feels upset when she sees Jia arriving with Tian. After they eat together, they continue studying. Cheng comes over to greet them and tells them to call him if they need anything. When he sees Tian, he feels as if he has seen him somewhere before. Tian assumes it is probably because he once delivered food to him. The next day, Maya and Nan go to take their exam. They try to hide because they do not want to look embarrassing, but each of them is shocked to find their student standing there cheering for them. To them, instead of encouragement, it feels like a public humiliation. Embarrassed, they enter the exam hall. Fang thanks Jia for the proposal she submitted and asks her to help with the new project. When Jia tries to escape the responsibility, her grandfather scolds her, saying it is shameful for her to avoid work while her younger brother is carrying the company alone. Jia is forced to agree. Their grandfather then informs them that Jia will travel to Dubai at the end of the week to handle the project, while John will travel to Hong Kong. A few days later, Tian begins to feel an emptiness because Jia has been away for so long. He starts imagining her everywhere. The exam results are announced, and Maya and Nan pass successfully. As a reward for their hard work, they decide to go to an amusement park. Meanwhile, Jia misses training badly. She even starts practicing inside her office. But she cannot continue because her secretary walks in. Later, when she goes downstairs to eat, she overhears two young men talking about how a girl's clothes are what attract them first. Their words make Jia think deeply. Back at university, Nan tells Tian that Maya has always wanted to go to an amusement park. She explains that Maya never went there much as a child because she was constantly being trained to manage the company. Her words affect Tian, so he goes to the company to convince Jia to join them. John hears him and also tries to persuade Jia, but she refuses because of work. Even so, Tian does not give up. He tells her that they will wait for her in front of the amusement park in the morning. That night, Jia decides to visit Tian's house to thank him for personally inviting her. At the same time, Maya is already at Tian's house waiting for him. Then Nan arrives for dinner, and as usual, the two girls begin arguing. Suddenly, Chen appears with a group of thugs, planning to beat Tian. But with Jia's arrival, the trio is complete. Jia, Nan, and Maya fight them all off easily, making Chen and his men run away in fear. Jia agrees with the girls that they will not tell Tian what happened. When Tian returns, they all eat together. After dinner, Tian notices Jia standing alone. When he approaches her, she tells him that she came to thank him for visiting her at the company, but she still cannot go to the amusement park with them. The next day, Jia sadly heads to the company. However, she notices that the driver is taking a different route. When she asks him about it, he tells her that John ordered him to take her to the amusement park instead. He also tells her to open the bag beside her. Inside, Jia finds a dress she had liked on an online shopping site, along with a letter from John telling her to enjoy her day. Meanwhile, John covers for her at the meeting. He keeps throwing in complicated terms and useful information to drag the meeting out as long as possible so their grandfather will not notice Jia's absence. Jia meets her friends in front of the amusement park, and they spend a wonderful time together. They leave Sun in charge of Tian's younger siblings, while Nan secretly creates opportunities for Jia to be alone with Tian. Later, they enter a haunted house. Nan and Jia get so scared that they start beating the workers inside. News quickly reaches the university that their students are attacking the staff. Of course, the dean has to apologize for the situation. Inside the haunted house, Tian tells Jia to hold his hand, promising that he will guide them out safely. They leave the place together. Meanwhile, Nan comes out and sees a cute teddy bear prize. To win it, she has to knock down targets in a game. She tries, but fails. Suddenly, Lu appears beside her. He plays the game, knocks down the targets, wins the teddy bear, and gives it to her as a gift. Then he confesses that he likes her. Nan becomes extremely shy and confused. She does not understand how he can love her or what reason he could possibly have. Lu tells her that true love does not need a reason. If love has a reason, then it is not real love. Nan is still not convinced. She tells him she will not accept him unless he gives her 100 reasons why he loves her. Everyone spends a beautiful day together, laughing and enjoying themselves as if they have become children again. The next day, Jia finally returns to university and goes back to training. She is full of energy and happiness, like a fish finally returning to water. Everyone in the club is amazed by her strength during training. Their session is interrupted when Maya tells them that the dean wants them in his office. The dean asks them to represent the university in a competition in Macau, the city where Tian used to live. This is difficult because they need to save their energy for the competition against Zhong University. In the end, they agree, but only with conditions. Their first condition is that Tian must come with them because he can identify every opponent's strengths and weaknesses. Their second condition is that the university must cover all the expenses so Tian does not have to carry any financial burden. When Tian finds out, he feels nervous and worries that he may not live up to their trust. The girls comfort him and reassure him. Jia then hurries to the company because her grandfather is looking for her. Meanwhile, Maya trains with Sun, who keeps begging her to take him with them to Macau, but it is impossible because the number of people allowed is very limited. Tian sits beside Nan and studies the fighters, analyzing each person's strengths and weaknesses. Maya joins them after her match, while Sun walks away disappointed. At the same time, Jia arrives at the company and quickly changes her clothes. When she enters her grandfather's office, she finds Shi sitting with him. Her grandfather leaves them alone and walks out. Shi continues his obvious attempt to make Jia like him and invites her out to eat. When Jia refuses, he threatens that both of their families will be upset. So Jia gives him an impossible request. She tells him to find a Western restaurant that serves Chinese noodles. It is almost impossible. Then she tells him to call her once he finds the place, politely forcing him out of the room. That night, Sun returns home looking sad. When his mother asks what happened, he tells her that he really wants to travel with them, but he cannot, because the number of people allowed is too limited. The next day, Fong scolds Jia for giving Shi such an impossible request. Then he openly tells her that he wants the two of them to get married. Meanwhile, Cheng is riding his bicycle when he accidentally bumps into Sun's mother and injures her leg. When he looks at her leg, he notices 7 beauty marks. He immediately remembers what his late wife told him before she died. She said he would one day find a woman to continue life with him, and her sign would be 7 beauty marks. Back at the university, she waits outside while repeatedly calling Jia, but she refuses to answer. When Tian sees him, he recognizes him. He thinks about calling Jia to warn her, but before he can, she calls out to him and asks about her. Tian denies knowing Jia so he can leave quickly and warn her, but before he gets the chance, Jia comes downstairs. Shai proudly tells her that he fulfilled her request and found a Western restaurant that serves Chinese noodles. Tian walks away feeling upset. Nan traps Shai into inviting the entire university to eat with Jia. Then she notices that Jia looks upset and asks her what happened. Jia is nervous because she is afraid Tian might be angry with her. Nan suggests that she should do nothing for now and use this chance to see whether Tian will get jealous or not. Meanwhile, Tian keeps thinking about Jia. He remembers what she said about her and starts believing that he is not suitable for her. In his mind, Jia deserves someone better than him. Later, during training, Maya tells Sun that Jia and she looked like a couple in love. Sun also admits that Jia deserves someone who can truly value and respect her. Maya says this is probably her grandfather's choice, especially since the two families have been friends for a long time. At the same time, Tian and Jia are training together when Nan walks in and jokes that from now on, whenever Jia gets hungry, she should just call Shi. Jia becomes nervous and forces Nan to be quiet. After Nan leaves, Tian finally asks Jia if she really likes Shi. He tells her that Shi is not a good person and that she deserves someone better. Jia asks him who that person is, secretly hoping he will say himself. But Tian becomes nervous and only says, anyone other than Shi. Later, Nan tells Jia that she needs to confess to Tian so she can finally feel at peace. Just then, Tian walks past them. Nan stops him and tries to bring up the topic, but Jia immediately throws Nan to the ground, picks her up, and runs away with her. The story then moves to Sun's mother's restaurant, where she is holding an event. The prize is a ticket to Macau, and Sun becomes extremely excited. His mother begins drawing the winner's name randomly. The first winner is an old man, but he apologizes and says he cannot go because he is tired. She draws another name, and this time, a woman wins. Sun's mother becomes furious because she arranged the entire event for Sun's sake. She had secretly agreed with her assistant to put only Sun's name in the draw. Luckily for her, the woman also refuses the trip and decides to give the prize to Sun instead. Sun becomes extremely happy. The next day at the company, Fong tells Jia that the business trip he mentioned before has been moved to an earlier date. Jia objects because the new date clashes with the competition, and she already promised her coach she would be there. Her grandfather tells her she should know which event is more important. Later, during training, Maya says Jia will not be going to Macau with them. Sun becomes disappointed because he feels the trip will be pointless without Jia. Maya, however, is happy because she believes this trip will bring her closer to Tian. She asks where Tian is. At that moment, Tian is standing with Ming, asking how he can become a better coach. Ming tells him that the 3 girls are already among the best in their fields, which means he is doing well as a coach. But if he wants to improve, he must learn to notice their mistakes so they can fix them. She also reminds him that no matter who the opponent is, they must never underestimate anyone. Meanwhile, Jia is training the children, including Tian's younger siblings. After practice, she takes them out for lunch. The children insist on eating a specific dish. We learn that this meal was something Tian's mother used to cook for them. Ever since she abandoned them and left, Tian has refused to eat it. That is when Gia begins to understand why Tian often seems sad. At the same time, Tian is at Zheng University watching Jifin train so he can analyze her fighting style. The person training with Jifin becomes exhausted, and Jifin says none of them are like Lu. The trainer sarcastically replies that Lu is not available because he is busy cleaning bathrooms. When Tian hears this, he goes to see Lu and feels upset that Lu is being punished this way. When Lu learns why Tian came to the university, he tells him that if he wants to understand Jifin's fighting style, he needs to fight her himself. Lu takes Tian to the boxing club and tells Jifin that he has become the girls' coach. Tian asks Jifin for a friendly sparring match so he can learn from her. The match begins, and Tian quickly notices that her punches are incredibly fast. Chen keeps mocking Tian, saying he will definitely lose, but Lu tells Chen that Tian does not care about winning. He tells him to watch Tian carefully, especially how he keeps his eyes open during attacks. Lu adds that if Tian continues training like this, even Jifin may not be able to compete against him in the future. Tian returns to his university and meets Maya and Nan. He tells them what happened and explains that they need to train harder because Jifin is faster than Nan, and her legs are stronger than Maya's. Meanwhile, Chen meets Shi and complains about Tian. From Shi's words, Chen is surprised to hear him say that Tian is now training Jia and that they love each other. When Chen shows Shi a photo of Tian, Shi recognizes him as the same waiter who spilled juice on him. Shi goes to the car wash after remembering that Tian works there. He warns Tian to stay away from Jia, saying they are not suitable for each other anyway. Tian is not affected by his words and kicks him out of the car wash. That night, Sun and Tian meet. Tian advises Sun to protect Jia from Shai because Shai is not a good person. He says this while assuming that Sun and Jia love each other, but Sun tells him that he misunderstood everything. The truth is that Jia loves Tian. Tian walks away completely confused. If Jia loves him, then what about the words he overheard before? He immediately goes to the cafe where he often sees Jia. When Jia sees him, she tells him she is upset because she will not be able to go to Macau with them. Tian admits that he was also upset when he heard the news. Then he finally asks her if she really likes him or not. Jia becomes nervous and says she needs to leave. She apologizes and walks away. Tian follows her outside and tells her she must answer the question. At last, Jia confesses that she likes him. Tian also confesses that he has loved her for a long time, but he never told her because he believed he did not deserve her. He admits that he really was jealous of Shai. After that, they both return home feeling as if they are flying from happiness. Meanwhile, Nan is training when her father walks in and asks about Sun's mother. Nan is surprised by the question, so he explains that a few days ago he accidentally hit her with his bicycle. She did not argue with him, which made him feel even more guilty. Now he wants to apologize properly, so he asks Nan for her address. Nan tells him he can simply go to her noodle restaurant because it is famous and easy to find. The next day, while the group is having lunch, Jia walks in and tells them she came to say goodbye before they travel. During training, Nan nervously asks Tian about Lu. Tian remembers that Lu asked him not to tell her about his punishment, so Tian says Lu is fine and there are no problems. But Nan feels something is wrong and does not fully believe him. Nan goes to Zheng University wearing a dress, so most people there do not recognize her. When she asks about Lu, she learns that he is no longer the club leader. She leaves sadly, but Jifin stops her and says she has something to tell her that will change the way she sees many things. However, we do not hear what Jifin tells her. Later, the team prepares for the trip. They get into the car and leave. Maya feels that she now has a big chance with Tian, especially because Jia is not traveling with them. At the same time, Nan receives a message from Lu containing reason number 74 for why he loves her. Meanwhile, Jia is on her way to the airport. The driver tells her there is no direct flight to Dubai, so she will have to transit through Hong Kong. The team arrives in Macau and takes a tour around the city. It is clear that Tian misses Jia deeply. Back home, Tian's siblings are staying with Sun's mother. Cheng goes to the restaurant to apologize to her, carrying medicine for her injured leg. He also wants to confirm whether she really has the 7 beauty marks. When he enters, he becomes nervous and only orders a meal. Since Tian's siblings dislike him because he celebrated Lu's victory when Sun lost, Cheng decides to wait a few days until they leave. In Macau, the competition begins. It is Nan and Maya's turn to compete against each other. From backstage, Tian analyzes their movements and identifies each girl's weaknesses so they can work on them later. Gia watches them through her phone. Suddenly, she stands up, grabs her bag, and leaves. That night, John receives a call saying Gia has disappeared. He calls Maya, but she does not know where Gia is either. Meanwhile, Tian visits the restaurant owner he used to work for, and the man notices that Tian seems to be living through a love story. At the same time, Nan walks around sadly, remembering what Jifin told her. Jifin had claimed that Lu does not love her and only got close to her so her father would agree to teach him the death strike. Unfortunately, Nan believes her and keeps crying. When Tian returns to the hotel, he is surprised to find Maya waiting for him. She asks him to go shopping for gifts with her, but Tian refuses because he is trying to avoid giving her false hope. Maya returns to her room feeling hurt. When she sees Sun, she asks him to go eat with her, and he agrees. As they go out together, Tian also walks outside, wishing Gia were with him. Then he looks behind him and finds Gia standing there. He can hardly believe it. They go out together, walk around the city, and Tian buys her a small rabbit gift. Meanwhile, Maya and Sun sit together and talk. Maya is deeply upset and tells Sun that she never even got the chance to confess her love to Tian. Sun comforts her and tells her that she is a good girl, and one day she will definitely find someone who loves her. At the same time, she is having dinner with grandfather Fang. During the meal, she tells Fong that Gia is in love with Tian. Gia eventually has to leave Tian so she can return before her flight. While walking away, Gia sees Uncle Ji's wife and remembers the day she stopped her. But she continues walking. Then Gia sees the woman talking to someone else, convincing her to take out insurance on her husband before his match, so if he dies in the ring, she will receive the insurance money. We learn that the man is sick and will die anyway. We also discover the shocking truth. Uncle Ji did not die because of Tian's father. He was already sick, and the same insurance trick was used back then. He fought so the insurance money would go to his wife. Maya overhears all of this, but she does not know who the people are. Uncle Ji's wife continues explaining that her husband had retired and worked for a while as a security guard for the Fong family because of his illness. She also says she saw Gia at the port when she arrived. The next day, Gia calls Tian to reassure him that she is safe. Tian is sitting with Sun when he receives the call, and Sun immediately realizes that Tian and Gia are together. Nan meets Maya and notices that she also looks upset. Maya does not want to talk about Tian, so she tells Nan about the 2 women she overheard the night before. She says it sounded like one of their husbands used to work as a security guard for Gia's family. The team returns to their city. As soon as Nan arrives, she tells her father she needs to talk to him about something. But Lu walks in at that moment. The moment Nan sees him, she becomes furious and accuses him of lying to her. She repeats what she heard, but Lu tells her that his interest in fighting and his feelings for her are 2 completely different things. Nan does not believe him and walks away. Lu follows her, trying to explain that he truly loves her. Nan throws a punch at him, but stops her fist at the last second, right in front of his face. Then she walks away, telling him she will never trust him again. The next day, Maya is still thinking about what happened. She arrives at the club and trains with Tian fiercely and aggressively. Afterward, Tian goes to Ming and talks to her about his training session with Maya. Ming explains that Maya is the only one who can be compared to Gia in terms of strength. She is also the only fighter who competes without protective gear. But Maya's problem is that she has no ambition. Ming continues talking about Maya's feelings for Tian, but a phone call interrupts them. Tian leaves because Gia is calling him. He meets Gia, and she gives him a rabbit as a gift. Maya sees them together and becomes deeply hurt. Later, Tian goes to speak with Maya because he wants to make everything clear and does not want to hurt her any more than necessary. He tells her that he and Gia are together. Maya reassures him that she will not be upset again. but the truth is that she is still hurting. She asks him why he did not love her, even though she treated him better than Gia did. Tian tells her that his and Gia's hearts are close, and there are things they share that only they understand. Maya does not fully understand his answer, but she tells him she will continue supporting him. After that, John asks his grandfather for permission to take Gia with him to the branch office. In reality, he and Gia are tricking their grandfather so Gia can go out with Tian while John stays with Tian's siblings. At the same time, Maya is with Sun, asking him to celebrate the fact that she has finally given up on Tian. John stays with Tian's younger siblings, but they are annoyed with him because he does not play with them or pay much attention to them. He tries his best to play along. Meanwhile, Tian is with Gia. He tells her he wants to try riding a bicycle with her. They ride together and later sit by the sea. At the same time, Nan is in her room, reading Lu's messages sadly. She cries while thinking that she needs to delete them. Later, Gia visits her grandfather. He asks her why she went to Macau when she was supposed to be in Dubai. Gia does not deny what happened. She simply tells him that the result is what matters, and she completed her work properly. Grandfather Fong tells Gia that she was visiting Taeyeon, and as punishment, she must leave her studies. Gia argues with him and says he has no right to decide who she is allowed to love. When he accuses Tian of loving her only for her money, Gia defends him strongly. She says she was the one who loved Tian first, and Tian does not want anything from her. He simply loves her. Her grandfather replies that even if Tian is a good person, he is still not suitable for her because he is poor. Gia leaves, deeply upset by the way her grandfather thinks. The next morning, Nan wakes up and is shocked to find Gia beside her. She asks how Gia got there, and Gia explains that she fought with her grandfather and left home. When Nan asks why, Gia tells her that she and Tian are now together, and her grandfather found out. They go downstairs for breakfast with Cheng. Gia apologizes for causing trouble. When they mention Tian, Cheng realizes he is the older brother of the two children he once saw at the restaurant. After breakfast, Gia goes to Tian and his siblings and tells them she came to cook for them. Meanwhile, Grandfather Fong waits for Gia and John at work, but Gia does not show up. John tells him she is at university, but Fong says he has already sent someone to suspend her studies. When Gia finds out what her grandfather did, she goes straight to the dean. She tells him she does not want to stop studying and that this is only her grandfather's decision. She promises she will solve the problem herself. After leaving the dean's office, Gia meets Tian and tries to act like a normal girlfriend around him. Everyone who knows them notices, and rumors quickly spread that they are officially together. At Xing University, Chen questions Jifin about why she chose someone else to be her deputy after everything he did to support her. Jifin tells him that she separates personal life from work. She says he is still not qualified to become a coach or vice leader. Her words anger Chen and he walks away. On the other side, Grandfather Fang visits Tian at work. After introducing himself, he tells Tian to stay away from Gia, but Tian refuses. He says he will not leave her, and they will stay together. That night, Tian talks to Gia on the phone while walking home. Gia senses from his voice that something is wrong, but he refuses to tell her and ends the call. When Tian reaches home, he finds Chen waiting outside. At first, Tian thinks Chen has come to fight him, but Chen only threatens him as usual. Tian tells Chen that he has spent his whole life trying to stay quiet and protect his siblings without fighting. But Chen's constant pressure pushed him to become the person he is now. Chen says he is waiting for the day he finally defeats Tian, then leaves. The next day, Maya and Sun sit together. Maya admits that she still cannot move on from Tian, and she asks Sun how he is able to endure the pain. They decide to go out and play to distract themselves. On the way, they meet Nan and Gia, and Sun invites them to join. When they arrive, they find Shi there. He insists that they play against him and his team. At first, Gia's team is losing, but once Maya and Gia cooperate, they manage to defeat Shi. Afterward, they go to Sun's restaurant to celebrate their victory and teamwork. There, Nan asks Sun's mother about her injured leg and whether the medicine helped, but Sun's mother has no idea what Nan is talking about. Later, the three girls leave together. Nan tries to help Gia and Maya become friends by making them talk and play together. The next day during training, Nan sees her father and asks why he never gave Sun's mother the medicine. When they arrive at the restaurant, Cheng becomes extremely nervous and leaves quickly. Meanwhile, John and grandfather Fong are at the company, and it becomes clear that Fong is unwell. John later goes to Gia's university and tells her their grandfather is sick. He asks her to come home. Gia returns home and checks on her grandfather. After that, she goes to Tian's workplace to tell him she has returned home. She also tells him that her grandfather will not suspend her studies and was only angry at the moment. Tian becomes very happy for her, believing things between her and her family are finally improving. The next day, Nan trains energetically. On her way, she meets Lu but ignores him. Lu continues walking, clearly hurt. When he reaches his university, Jifin tells him that the dean has lifted his punishment, so he no longer has to clean. Lu ignores her and walks away. Jifin becomes angry and tells him to stop trying because Nan will never return to him after learning that he only approached her to learn the death strike. Lu is not surprised. He already knows Jifin must have been the one who told Nan. Soon, the whole university receives a message saying there is only 1 month left until the final competition. All the girls rush toward a handsome person training nearby, only to discover that it is actually Nan, looking even more masculine than usual. At the same time, Chen asks Lu to teach him boxing instead of letting him continue bullying people. Lu is happy to hear this and starts teaching him the basics from the beginning. That night, Gia spends time with Tian and his siblings, and they enjoy a warm evening together. Meanwhile, John tries to convince his grandfather to accept Gia and Tian's relationship, but Fong still refuses. The next day, Tian goes to his advertising job, only to discover that the place is being shut down for renovations. It turns out someone filed a complaint against the shop to get it closed. Meanwhile, Sun begins to feel something for Maya while training with her. That night, Tian is sitting with his siblings when the landlord tells him they must move out within 2 days because she has found a better buyer for the house. The next day, Gia calls Tian. He tries to tell her that he lost his place, but John interrupts before he can say it, so Tian ends the call. Then Tian calls Sun and asks him for a favor. At the same time, Lu notices that Jifin is training too much and not resting. He stops her before she hurts herself and agrees to train her again because he still cares about her. To him, she is still his friend and partner. Back at the company, Gia and John arrive. John accidentally bumps into an employee and helps her pick up her papers. Then he discovers that his grandfather was the one who bought Tian's house. Tian moves into Sun's home, and Sun's mother reassures him. She tells him he can live there and work with them at the restaurant. Later, Tian receives a call from John and goes to meet him. John tells him that Fang is behind everything. Tian asks John not to tell Gia anything because he does not want them to fight again because of him. At Zheng University, a student named Ji from Ximen University comes to challenge Lu to a fight. Lu refuses and walks away. When grandfather Fong learns that Tian is staying at Sun's mother's house, he sends people to buy both the restaurant and the house. But when Sun's mother understands what is happening, she refuses. The men attack her, but Cheng steps in, protects her, and beats them up. Sun's mother thanks him for standing by her. Later, Maya goes with Sun to his house. His mother tells them about the men who attacked the restaurant and says they were definitely there because of Tian. She gives Sun the business card she took from them, and they realize grandfather Fang is behind everything. Sun asks Maya not to tell Tian because it would hurt him. Instead, Maya contacts Gia. Gia and Maya meet in the boxing ring and argue. Maya tells Gia that she is the reason Tian is suffering. Gia immediately runs to confront her grandfather. Fang tells her he was only trying to protect her because Tian's father was the one who killed Uncle Ji. Gia is shocked. She leaves without saying anything. John argues with his grandfather and tells him that since he has already told Gia the truth and separated her from Tian, he should now leave Tian alone and stop ruining his life. Gia goes to meet Tian and argues with him. She tells him that the man his father killed was Uncle Ji, the person she loved deeply. After that, Gia asks Tian for some time apart. She walks away feeling devastated, and memories of Uncle G keep flooding her mind. She becomes so distracted that she accidentally bumps into a group of girls. They are about to steal from her, but luckily, a police car passes by and saves her. John later comes to pick her up from the police station. That night, someone attacks Chen and breaks one of his bones. Chen has no idea who the attacker is. When Lu visits him, Chen says the person who beat him was definitely a professional fighter. Afterward, Tian goes to Nan and asks her to help him check on Gia. He wants Nan to convince Gia that none of this is his fault. At the same time, Maya is with Sun. She tells him that she has accepted Tian as only a friend now, but she is still upset about everything happening to him. Their conversation is interrupted when Sun receives a message saying that a boxer named Akan, who was their friend, died in the ring. Meanwhile, Cheng is happy after meeting his old friend's son. He says he will train him to fight just like his father. Gia visits Uncle G's grave and remembers the times he told her that she should always stay happy. Standing there, she asks him to help her make the right decision. Nan tries to convince Gia that Tian is innocent, and even his father was not truly to blame. She also tells Gia that Tian refused to learn the death strike because of her. Gia admits that she knows Tian has no fault in what happened. However, she is not sure if she can face him again, so she asks for time. Meanwhile, Maya remembers the woman she saw getting Akan to sign insurance papers. She starts feeling that his death may not have been normal. On the other side, Cheng keeps trying to find the right way to confess his love to Sun's mother. According to his late wife's words, the 7 beauty marks on her leg mean she is the woman destined for him. Later, John visits Tian and tells him to move back into his own house. Tian asks John about Gia and begs him to help him meet her. John agrees. Tian finally meets Gia and tries to speak with her. He tells her that his father was not guilty. Their family suffered terribly because of people's judgment, and even his mother abandoned him and his siblings because she could no longer bear what people were saying. After that, his father had an accident and died. Tian explains that he carried resentment toward his father for a long time and blamed him for everything. But Gia changed his life. She encouraged him to face his pain, and now it is his turn to encourage her because he loves her. Meanwhile, John tells his grandfather that he is bringing Tian back home. He argues with Fang and tells him to stop interfering in Gia's life because her happiness is with Tian. But Fang still does not look convinced. At Tian's house, everyone gathers together. Sun tells them about the boxer who died in the ring, and Maya says she suspects his death was not actually caused by the match. Nan interrupts them and takes them outside. Tian tries to talk to Gia, but she avoids him. When Sun returns home, his mother tricks him into admitting his feelings. She has noticed that Sun has become very close to Maya recently, and eventually, Sun confesses that he likes Maya. At the same time, Lu goes to warn Nan to be careful because someone attacked Chen. He tells her he suspects the attacker is Ji, and that Ji has a terrifying obsession with fighting. While Lu is heading home, he senses someone following him. He stops and discovers it is Ji. Lu asks him if he was the one who attacked Chen because Chen refused to kill him. Ji does not deny it. Lu tells him he accepts the challenge. Suddenly, Ji strikes Lu with a powerful hit that makes him lose focus and causes blood to run from his nose. Meanwhile, Tian is training Gia, but she cannot focus because of her memories of Uncle G. When Tian notices that she is distracted, he encourages her with his words, and it actually helps. The next day, the competition takes place at Zheng University. Nan faces Jifin, and Tian begins analyzing Jifin's movements, guiding Nan on how to respond. At the same time, Uncle G's wife visits Gia and asks her for money. She tells Gia that Uncle G's death was not as simple as it seemed. The match between Nan and Jifin begins. It is an intense fight, but Nan eventually wins by using a chokehold until Jifin loses consciousness. The second match is between Maya and Ji. Everyone thinks this is Ji's first time competing, but it quickly becomes clear that it is not. He uses highly professional boxing techniques and brutally breaks Maya down. Back with Gia, Uncle G's wife tells her the truth about what happened to Uncle G. As the woman walks away, it becomes clear she had planned to reveal this information from the beginning. She then calls Grandfather Fang and tells him she has done what they agreed on, so he should send her the money. Gia's match begins, but she is deeply upset. She defeats her opponent with a single blow and wins immediately. The first day of the competition ends with victories for Nan, Ji, and Gia. The next day, Gia is with Tian. He tries to speak to her, but her mind is somewhere else. She keeps remembering what Uncle Ji's wife told her, that powerful people forced Uncle Ji to lose the match, and that the day before his death, several men beat him up. She also claimed that Tian's father knew about it and deliberately helped cause Uncle Ji's death. Tian keeps talking, but Gia interrupts him and says they must break up. She tells him she cannot forgive his father, and she cannot accept that Tian is his son. Meanwhile, Nan tries to convince Cheng to teach her the death strike, but he refuses. He tells her that teaching her mother the death strike was the reason her mother died. He fears Nan may also lose control one day and hurt someone. At the same time, Sun is taking care of Maya, and it looks like she may slowly start falling for him. Later, John calls Nan to look for Gia because she has disappeared. Nan calls Tian and learns that Gia broke up with him. She becomes confused and wonders what happened after the match that changed Gia so suddenly. The next day, Gia is still missing, and nobody can find her. Nan faces Ji, but her entire focus is on Gia's disappearance. Because she is distracted, she loses after Ji lands a powerful hit on her. Ji wins the competition because Gia never shows up, but he refuses to accept the prize. At the end of the day, Gia appears at Nan's place completely broken because she has nowhere else to go. Nan tries to ask what happened, but Gia does not speak at all. She simply breaks down. Nan leaves her alone for a while, then goes to reassure John that Gia is safe. The next day, Grandfather Fang is sitting with John and asks if he knows why Gia is acting like this. Their conversation is interrupted when Gia enters and asks her grandfather to let her continue her education abroad. John becomes upset with her and walks away. Gia goes to school, and everyone gathers around her. They angrily confront her for abandoning the competition, but Gia says she does not care. Then she leaves. Maya runs after Nan, trying to find out why Gia acted that way, but Nan does not know either. Maya becomes angry and argues with Nan because she thinks they are all hiding things from her and pushing her away. Nan tells Tian that Gia is planning to withdraw from the university and leave the country. Tian immediately rushes to find her so he can talk to her. He tries to understand why she is doing this and why she wants to leave the university, but Gia refuses to explain and shuts down the conversation. Afterward, Gia tells Nan not to tell Tian the real reason. She says Tian must not know that his father deliberately killed Uncle Ji because she does not want him to hate his father again. Back at the university, Jifin argues with Gia, accusing her of being careless for abandoning the competition without any proper reason. She forces Gia into a match, and Gia lets Jifin release her anger by hitting her. But in the end, Gia defeats her with one single strike. Gia then shouts at her, saying life is difficult for everyone, not only for her. Later, she comes to Gia with flowers and tells her that her grandfather already approves of him anyway. Gia refuses him, but the moment she sees Tian approaching, she suddenly agrees and gets into Shi's car. Meanwhile, Maya and Sun go to Tian's house to look after his younger siblings. At the car wash where Tian works, Shi arrives just to humiliate him. He forces Tian to clean his car and warns him to stay away from Gia. He says Tian was only a temporary phase in Gia's life. Then Shi openly admits that he does not love Gia. He only loves her money, and he is doing all of this to protect his father's company. John is secretly watching Shi and recording everything he says. He sends the video to Gia. At the same time, Lu confesses his love to Nan again, and this time, Nan finally agrees to be with him. Ji keeps trying to reach Gia because he wants to challenge her in a match, but her secretary tells him Gia is not available. Meanwhile, Gia meets Shi, who pretends to worry about how sad her grandfather will be if she keeps rejecting him. He tries to pressure her into accepting him. He also secretly contacts a reporter, planning to trap Gia publicly and force her into a situation where she has no choice but to accept him. But Gia handles everything intelligently. She calls out the other reporters who are hiding nearby, then takes out her phone and surprises Shi with the recording where he admits he does not love her and only wants her for his family's benefit and the partnership between his father and her grandfather. The reporters publish the story. After the news spreads, Grandfather Fong cancels the partnership between his company and Huang's company. This decision makes Huang furious with his son because Shi completely failed his mission. Ji continues trying to reach Jia until he finally finds her, but she ignores him and keeps walking. At the same time, Nan meets Lu. She has taken Jia's advice and wears a beautiful dress with high heels. When Lu sees her, he becomes even more impressed by her. Suddenly, a thief steals Nan's bag and runs away. Nan immediately removes her heels and chases after him. Later, Jia goes to say goodbye to the children she used to train. She tells them she will be traveling and will no longer be available to teach them. Tian's younger siblings cannot accept this. After they leave, they are surprised to find Jia waiting for them outside. She takes them somewhere special to say goodbye properly. The children cry because they love Jia and do not want her to leave. Ji keeps trying to get to Jia, so he goes to her brother. But John is ready with proof against him. When security approaches, Ji runs away. Then Jia announces her retirement from martial arts. The news shocks many people, including her brother, who is deeply upset. He tells her that the sister who once made him proud no longer seems to have a place in his heart. Maya is also upset by the announcement. She goes to Jia and tries to provoke her, saying that if Jia leaves, Maya will be the only one left in the fighting world. She also says she will use the opportunity to steal Tian from her. But Maya is shocked by Jia's reaction. Jia does not fight back or show any resistance. Maya explodes in anger, unable to understand how Jia could let go of Tian so easily. She tells Jia that she will not love Tian romantically and will remain only his closest friend. Then she leaves, still confused by Jia's behavior. At the end of the day, Jia stays up with Nan. Nan advises her to at least try to be happy today. Jia gets up to sleep, but suddenly Tian calls her and says he wants to meet. When they meet, Tian tells her he does not hate her and still loves her, but Jia insists that they have to separate, so they break up peacefully. Tian wishes her well and tells her to take care of herself while she is abroad. Meanwhile, Chen meets Shai and complains that someone broke his ribs. She confidently tells him that he will get revenge for him because he is waiting for a very strong fighter who will help punish the person responsible. At that moment, Ji enters. Chen is shocked because Ji is the same person who attacked him. Angry, Chen tells Shi that their friendship is over because Shi is working with Ji. Shi's real plan is to cooperate with Ji so he can get revenge on Jia for humiliating him. He tells Ji that if he wants to reach Jia, he must target her weakness, and Jia's weakness is Tian. As Chen leaves, he overhears part of what Shi said. He starts thinking about Jia's weakness and realizes it must be Tian. For once, Chen feels guilty. He rushes to help Tian. But when he arrives, Ji is already there. Chen and Tian try to stop him, but they fail, and Ji succeeds in kidnapping Tian. Nan calls Jia to tell her what happened after learning about it from Chen. Then Jia receives a call from Tian's phone, but when she answers, it is Ji. He threatens her, saying he is holding Tian captive and will only release him if she agrees to meet him. He says he will send her the location and time tomorrow. Jia goes to Nan's house and finds Chen and Lu there. Chen tells Jia everything he overheard from Shi and explains that he went to Tian's house to help him. Chen helps them find Shi so they can question him about Tian's location. Cheng hears all of this as well. After a while, the four of them reach Shi. At the same time, Tian tries to escape from Ji but fails. Finally, Jia manages to reach Tian. She tells Ji that she will fight him, but only if he keeps his promise and releases Tian. Ji honors the deal and lets Tian go, but Tian refuses to leave and decides to stay with Jia. Meanwhile, the others continue searching for Tian and Jia, with Sun and Nan rushing ahead to find them faster. The fight between Jia and Ji begins. At first, Ji is clearly stronger than her, but during the fight Tian realizes Ji has the advantage advantage because he has memorized Jia's fighting style. Tian tells Jia to change her technique and use different styles. When Jia follows his advice, she starts gaining the upper hand and wins the first round. Sun and Nan finally arrive and see that Jia has won the round. But then Ji completely overpowers Jia using Krav Maga, a fighting style that combines different martial arts for self-defense and is not limited by the rules of one sport. The fight is interrupted when Cheng enters and says Krav Maga once lost to the death strike. He challenges Ji with his student Lu, but then discovers Lu could not reach the location. Because of that, Cheng believes fate has chosen Tian to face Ji. After a moment of hesitation, Tian decides to learn the death strike from Cheng so he can fight Ji. In the end, Tian manages to defeat Ji without using the death strike. But after Tian wins, Ji attacks him in a fit of rage with a painful strike that knocks him to the ground. Tian is rushed to the hospital and Jia goes with him. Afterward, the police arrive and arrest both Ji and Shi for everything they did. At the hospital, Jia waits anxiously for the doctor to come out and tell her Tian's condition, but the doctor shocks her by saying Tian is in a coma. If he wakes up, he will be fine, but for now, his condition is uncertain. Jia is devastated. She calls John and asks him to bring Tian's siblings to the hospital. At that time, John is already taking care of them. Tian's condition shocks many people. Everyone begins showing how much they love him, praying for him, supporting him in every possible way, and even joining charity work in his name. Many students from Zheng University join as well, including Jaffin and Chen. Grandfather Fong decides to stop pressuring Jia to travel until Tian wakes up from his coma. Meanwhile, Cheng is filled with guilt. He believes Tian ended up in this condition because Cheng taught him the death strike. But Nan comforts him and tells him not to blame himself. She assures him that Tian will wake up. Chen goes to Lu and says he wants to apologize to Tian and also thank him because Tian is the reason he changed. Lu tells him to say those words to Tian himself once Tian wakes up. During the charity work, Maya keeps watching Jifin because she suspects Jifin only joined them to ruin Lu and Nan's relationship. So Maya tries to keep Jifin away from Lu. During this period, Jia keeps remembering all the beautiful moments she shared with Tian. She even goes to work at the place where she first met him, just so she can keep feeling close to those memories. She is deeply saddened by his absence and spends most of her time at the hospital. One day, while everyone is gathered at Sun's mother's house, Lu realizes that Cheng has feelings for Sun's mother. He tells Nan and she is shocked. Nan asks Sun to help Cheng get closer to his mother, but Sun is surprised by the idea and refuses to even imagine it. Later, Cheng goes to pick up Tian's siblings from Sun's mother's place so he can take care of them. He convinces them that he is like their uncle and that he should be the one caring for them during this time. Jia continues struggling through the painful days without Tian. Then, one day, while speaking to him at the hospital, she is shocked when he responds and moves. She immediately calls the doctors. After examining Tian, the doctor tells Jia that what happened was a seizure. He warns her that if Tian does not wake up in the next few days, she must prepare herself for the possibility of losing him. But Jia refuses to accept the idea of living without Tian. Sun goes to Nan so they can discuss what to do about Cheng and his mother. Sun says he has no problem if his mother agrees, and he will try to bring up the topic with her. Sun secretly meeting Nan annoys Maya, who misunderstands the situation. Jia is then shocked by her grandfather when he tells her she cannot keep waiting for Tian forever. He also says he will send Tian's siblings to a boarding school. After hearing that, Jia goes back to Tian at the hospital. She cries beside him and begs him to wake up from the coma or at least give her any sign that he can hear her. The next day, Jia is sleeping beside Tian. When she wakes up, she is stunned to see that Tian has finally opened his eyes. She asks if this is a dream or reality, then breaks down crying from happiness. Meanwhile, Sun meets Nan so they can continue talking about their parents. Maya walks in and becomes suspicious because they are spending so much time together. She thinks they might be getting together. Their conversation is interrupted by a call from Nan telling them the news that Tian has woken up. Everyone becomes overjoyed. Tian meets his friends, and they tell him that Jia took care of him the entire time he was in the hospital. Later, Maya goes with Sun to buy things for Tian and his siblings. Sun disagrees with Maya and tells her she should leave Tian and Jia alone. Maya angrily replies that she is tired of him following her around like a shadow and tells him to stay away from her. Sun actually distances himself from her, which surprises Maya because she did not truly want him to leave. Afterward, Tian asks Jia to visit Uncle Ji's grave with him. Jia feels nervous and conflicted because of everything connected to Tian's father. Meanwhile, Sun goes to Cheng, who thinks Sun has come to ask him to teach him the death strike, but Sun surprises him by asking whether he really likes his mother. After some awkward tension, Cheng tells Sun that he does like his mother because she is a good woman. Sun says he approves and will try to convince his mother. Cheng becomes extremely happy and thanks him for accepting the situation without getting upset. He promises that he will make Sun's mother happy. John goes to his grandfather and asks him not to pressure Jia if she is unable to travel. He asks him to let Jia decide for herself. Strangely, Fang agrees. Sun meets Nan again, and she makes him admit that he likes Maya. Sun explains that he is upset because Maya is still in love with Tian. Nan advises him to listen to her if he wants to win Maya's heart. Meanwhile, Maya visits Sun's mother at the restaurant. Sun's mother is surprised that Maya came alone without Sun. Maya tells her that Sun has been meeting Nan constantly, and it bothers her. She also says they argued. Sun's mother tells Maya that her son is foolish and does not know how to deal with the people he loves. Tian goes with Jia to visit Uncle Ji's grave. There, he asks her to give their relationship another chance and not surrender to her pain. But they are shocked when Uncle Ji's wife appears. At that moment, Tian admits to her that he is the son of the boxer who killed her husband. He tries to apologize, but she refuses to accept his apology. She explodes in anger and says she hates him because of the conspiracy his father was part of to make her husband lose. Tian is shocked because he always believed his father killing Uncle Ji was an accident. Of course, Grandfather Fong is behind this. He arranged it so Jia would return to her decision and leave the country. Jia tells Tian everything she knows about his father's role in Uncle Ji's death, leaving Tian completely shattered. Meanwhile, Cheng wants to go see Sun's mother, but Nan advises him to stay away from her for a while so she can miss him. Nan asks Lu to watch her father and stop him from going to her. At that moment, Jia interrupts them. She has come to tell Nan what she said to Tian and is full of regret. Nan goes to check on Tian. Tian tells her he is fine. He says he will not force Jia to stay with him after what she learned, and now he understands why she changed. He accepts that she wants to travel. When Nan tells Jia what Tian said, Jia breaks down crying. She finally accepts the painful reality and admits defeat. The next day, Jia prepares her travel date. She asks John to take care of Tian's siblings. Then she goes to Tian and tells him she is leaving. She asks him to forget her. Meanwhile, Maya secretly listens to Sun and Nan. Nan notices this and uses the situation to provoke Maya, trying to make her jealous over Sun. Her plan works. The group decides to throw a farewell party for Jia before she leaves. Nan continues trying to push Maya into admitting her feelings for Sun. Tian overhears the conversation and joins them. After the party ends, Tian walks Jia home. He tells her he does not regret their relationship. Even if he had known it would end this way, he would still choose to do everything all over again. In the end, Tian and Jia say goodbye to each other, both wishing the best for one another. At the same time, Sun follows Maya. When Maya notices him, she becomes upset and tells him to leave her alone and go to Nan instead. But Sun refuses to leave. He finally confesses that he likes her and asks her to be with him. Maya is genuinely happy to hear his confession. The next day, Jia says goodbye to her grandfather. In an emotional moment, she thanks him for being in her life and for supporting her ever since the death of her parents. Then Jia leaves the country. Nan returns to her father's gym and discovers that Cheng managed to escape from Lu's watch just so he could go see Sun's mother. His efforts work, and he manages to make her like him. 1 year later, we learn that Cheng and Sun's mother got married and even had a child together. A new academic year begins at the universities. Lu joins Jia's university so he can stay close to Nan. Nan wins the annual university competition trophy. Maya starts working in advertising and promotions. Sun succeeds in his studies and also in his relationship with Maya. Tian continues working hard and taking care of his younger siblings, but he still thinks about Jia and cannot forget her. Meanwhile, Fang is very proud of Jia because of everything she has achieved abroad. One day, Nan is switching through TV channels when she suddenly sees breaking news about the arrest of Akan's wife for insurance fraud. This makes Nan suspicious, so she calls Maya to tell her the news. Maya tells her that the person who was helping Akan's wife was connected to Jia's family. She also tells Nan about the conversation she overheard between that woman and Uncle Ji's wife. Maya explains that the other woman, the one connected to Jia's family, said her husband was already in bad condition and willingly entered the match that would cause his death so she could receive the insurance money. Tian overhears everything and asks Maya if she remembers the woman's name. Maya says the only thing she knows is that the woman's husband used to work as a bodyguard for the Fong family. Tian begins thinking carefully. How did Uncle Ji pass the medical examination before the match if he was already sick? And if he had worked as a bodyguard, he must have passed a medical check before getting that job too. Tian contacts John, hoping he might have information. Together, they think through everything Uncle Ji's wife said. She claimed Tian's father agreed to kill Ji for money and even sent people to beat him before the match. But if that was true, where was the money? And why was Tian's father so broken after the match? That kind of guilt does not look like the behavior of someone who meant to kill. They realize they need to find Uncle Ji's wife and understand what really happened and why she suddenly chose to lie. Jia returns to China for a short vacation. She visits her brother and grandfather. Her grandfather tells her to withdraw her papers from the university because he needs her in the company. Jia wants to continue studying, but Fong tells her that education is not important as long as she will work in his company. Jia leaves and goes to her room. John enters and asks what she truly wants, whether she wants to travel again or stay with them. He realizes that she still has not forgotten Tian. John asks her that if she found out Tian's father did not kill Uncle Ji, would she go back to Tian? Jia assumes he is only trying to comfort her. John leaves because he has no proof yet. Jia goes to Nan and surprises her with her return. But she tells Nan not to tell anyone because she will leave again in 2 days. Later, Jia visits Uncle Ji's grave and is surprised to find flowers from Tian there. She does not want to stay with him, so she tells him she is busy and needs to leave. Soon, John visits Tian and brings him a record of the money transfers their grandfather made over the past year. Tian discovers that Fong sent a large amount of money to someone named Jian. There was also a transfer on the same day Tian and Jia met Uncle Ji's wife. Tian realizes that Fong was behind what happened. John suggests telling Jia the truth, but Tian refuses. He says his goal is to prove his father's innocence, not destroy Jia's relationship with her grandfather. He also knows Jia will be hurt when she learns the truth about Uncle Ji. By coincidence, Maya meets Jia and tells her everything they discovered about Uncle Ji. Jia refuses to believe it. Meanwhile, Sun and Maya prepare for their wedding, and Lu and Nan also decide to take a bigger step in their relationship by getting married. Jia goes to Tian angrily and tells him not to let his imagination run wild by thinking Uncle Ji could have been that kind of person just because of Maya's story. Tian understands her feelings. He tells her he is only trying to find the truth and clear his father's name. After that, Jia confronts Uncle Ji's wife and asks her for the truth. After intense pressure from Jia, the woman finally reveals everything. Jia reports her to the police, and she is arrested. Jia then goes to Tian and apologizes for everything that happened. She feels deeply guilty for what he and his siblings went through. Tian tells her not to think that way and asks her to give their relationship another chance, but Jia is still hesitant and walks away. Jia then confronts her grandfather. She tells him that even though she is angry with him, she still loves him because he is her family. She leaves in tears and decides to travel again. John goes to Tian and tells him Jia is leaving the next day. Tian still loves her and immediately asks where she is going. When he finds out she is traveling to Macau, Tian follows her there. He sends Gia a message telling her he is waiting at the fountain. He waits for her until she finally appears in front of him. In a moment filled with happiness and romance, they embrace each other and reunite once again. And that's how our drama comes to an end.